Yo, what's happening, everybody? This is Blade 0521. We're going to be doing an interview with JVC Force. For anybody who's from the old school hip hop scene, then you obviously know who I'm talking about. Yo, Sugar Bear, how you doing, bro? Been a while. Hope you're good. O'Brien, M. Dawn. I'm texting him now. He's just telling me. Okay. How's it going, everybody? And a good Sunday evening to you all. And if you're in the States, then a good afternoon to you. So I'm just waiting for the guys to come in. So, okay, so I'm waiting for B Love and AJ Rock from JVC Force. Yo, Roof, how you doing? Shady Beats, how you doing? So just waiting for the JVC Force to come in, and then we're gonna start the conversation, and we're gonna talk about some of the records they made. We're gonna be talking about some of their history, and more importantly, just letting everyone know that they got a show coming on the 24th of this month. So let me just okay. So just need to add. Give me a second. I can't even see who's live. It's not letting me see who's live. Okay, that's odd. Okay. All in. Um, Go live with me. Yep. And also need AJ. So bear with me. Yo, how you doing, bro?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just waiting for AJ Rock to get in.
All right. Can you hear me
Um,
well?
yeah, I can hear you, but you're a bit upside down. You need to turn the camera the
Oh,
other way.
let me turn it. Hold on one second. See if I can.
Because at the moment I have to look at you like that.
No, I got you. Let's see. That
So
didn't get any. That didn't get better, did it? No.
no. So just trying to add AJ in. Okay, so AJ should be joining us as well in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to doing this for a while now.
Ah, thank you for doing it too.
Yo, AJ, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. And
I don't
everybody,
hear you though.
you can't hear me?
No, I was hearing you before you put me in. Now I don't hear nobody.
Are you joking? Um, oh man,
All right,
I'm
now we
just
good. We good. We good. We good.
okay. All right, dope. Can everybody hear everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
And you
So
can see me. You can see me. I'm clear and everything.
yeah, can see you, and looking forward to actually seeing you in person on the 24th. So yeah, looking
Absolutely.
forward to it.
Absolutely. I was just
Yeah,
watching. I was killing time watching some of the videos on your page. The little freestyle you did with Grasshopper. I think that's his name, or what's his
yeah,
name?
yeah,
Grass.
yeah.
Yeah,
DJ
a couple.
Grasshopper.
And a couple of other joints. I was going through your page just now. Shout out
Okay,
to my
dope.
man Sugar Bear. I see you had him on the page. He's I think he's tuned in right now.
Yeah, yeah, Sugar Bear's family. We had that conversation, connected, and yeah, we have a lot of things in common. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
so
all,
soon as they said we were performing together, I looked you up and found you on IG, and we've been going back and forth, and we've been talking about doing this for a while. So I'm glad we were able to do it.
yeah, exactly. But yo, you know what? Like, I don't want to waste too much time on
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
like all of that. So what I want to do is I want to get straight into a little bit of history about JVC for the background and all that kind of stuff. But then I also want to make a point of addressing the show and what people can expect from the show. So if we start off, at the and by all means, I've got my glasses on so I can see the text and everything. So if anybody's there and has any specific questions you'd like to ask once the conversation gets going, feel free to throw in some questions. Okay. And also to everybody who's also already live here, I see All City Steve as well. Thanks a lot for joining, bro, as always. If you could also put the word out to people in your like group of people that are following you and stuff, let them know, please. All right, let them know that we're doing this interview and let's get as many people in here as possible. Okay.
Oh,
Um.
yes.
So right. So what I want to do is basically a little bit of background. You know, we all know about
Mm.
the record Strong Island, which was the big one that everyone got to hear. Okay. So obviously, Strong Island is a take on Long Island. That was a Public Enemy word that was used, and then you lot sampled it and put it into the song and everything. Tell us a little bit about your growing up in Long Island.
So you got this big, or you want me?
Go ahead.
So you got to think about the early days of hip hop. Back then you had to like almost be from one of the five boroughs of New York City to really be respected and thought of as, real hip hop. Areas like Long Island, areas like Westchester, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, there wasn't really getting that kind of love. And then you had people in in Long Island who was making noise, like Rakim said, "Rough Enough to Break," New York from Long Island, the only island I was on was the straw one. But since he was running with Eric B, people thought Rakim was from Brooklyn or Queens. Public Enemy was such a big group. It said Strong Island, Where I Got 'Em Wildin', which we sampled. Some people did not know that Public Enemy was from Long Island. You had Prince Paul, he was the DJ for Stetsasonic, but they're from Brooklyn, so you didn't know he was from Long Island. So there was a lot of Long Island people. And when we did when we first got the demo, which is B solo joint New School, and we went to B Boy, they liked it. They wanted us to do something for the B side, so we went in. Actually, B wrote it up in like an hour or so. Came around the corner to my house. We went over it, and we gave Long Island an anthem like South Bronx was for the Bronx, and you know Queensbridge was to that region, and Long Island finally had like an anthem, and we've been told by many people who came after us like that made them proud to be from Long Island, and people start really paying attention to Long Island, as a hip hop, a force in hip hop. So that's what it was. But yeah, B went home and wrote that real quick and came back around the corner and it's like, yo, I got it. And the label loved it so much that ended up being the A side instead of the B side, and that's the song that everyone. If you don't only know one song, that's the one song you know. Yes, Rakim is from Wyandanch, but Eric B is from Queens or Brooklyn. So a lot of people did outside of Long Island didn't know Rakim was from Long Island. I was answering one of the questions real quick.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think I think that growing up in Long Island, it gave us more or less like a diversity. When music was coming along, we listened to the different musics that, from the different races of folks. We went to school with white folks. We went to school with Spanish folks. We went to school with black folks. Everybody had different music. Hip hop was in the black community. It was coming up, but there was also things like Hall and Oates and Billy Joel and good music like that. To where like coming from Long Island, we were exposed to a lot of that. So it gave us a good opportunity to, put things together and kind of like, just kind of grow up that way, and it made for better music in my opinion, you know. hmm
You know, as you're talking, I'm kind of thinking, okay, you first of all, how old were you? You must have been in your teens when this was going on.
Um, I was in my teens. I began DJing from a young age, like probably around like 8, 9 years old. I started playing with records. I don't know that I was that good, but I was playing with records from a young age. I was getting familiar with what was around me. So, I mean, I think as I got into my teens, those are more or less like when we started to develop crews on our blocks. Everyone had a different crew. Um, I was becoming more exposed to music and stuff, and that was probably around the age 13, maybe. DJ parties at a young age. My parents let me stay out, so I mean, I was exposed to, trying to make people dance and, enjoying that kind of life. So, about 12, 13 years old. And then coming up into the JVC years, I mean, we began to really put it together as a crew around my 10th grade year of high school, 10th to 11th grade. So,
Yeah, we got together. Y'all was still in school for another year or two. So
yeah.
I moved. I was born in Mount Vernon, and I moved. My parents moved me to Long Island when I was 7. My parents got divorced. I drove my mom's crazy. She moved me back to my father to Mount Vernon for high school.
Hmm. Yeah.
After high school, I end up coming back, and the guys on the block during the time I'm gone, Bill B Love got his crew and Kurt's got his crew, and they're making some noise and they're doing some stuff together, parties and stuff. So guys on the block, especially Mike Walls and Rodney Norman, my next door neighbor, they were like, yo, you got to see what B and Kurt is doing. Whatever. I really didn't feel like going out that night. I just got back. Whatever was going on, and they was like, nah, you going. So they take me to the party. It was like a house party. You know, Kurt's rocking, B's rapping, and they were like, yo, let A get on the mic. So, I get on the mic and we kind of go rhyme for rhyme, not like it's a battle, but like just going rhyme for rhyme, trading rhymes. The end of the night, everyone said we sounded good together. And the next day we ended up in Kurt's garage, start working on routines, and then eventually talking about making demos and all that kind of stuff. So that's how the whole us coming together and a lot of people ask because I live in Mount Vernon, so I play like, how are you making Long Island records? You from Mount Vernon? I kind of got like dual citizenship in hip hop right now. So what I'm saying? Like I got dual citizenship.
Yeah.
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 You know,
And all of
Mount
that.
Vernon, Mount Vernon, was it Heavy D? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it Heavy
Yes,
D?
yes, yes. I went to school with Hev and his brother. I went to school with Albie Shaw, and
I'll
the
be.
next
Wow.
and the next town over, my cousin Roland and Richard, they're related to Pooba, so I got to see Pooba and his cousin Todd, Doctor Who, way before they were master of ceremony, before they were making records in the park, and they were killing everybody. So I got to see a lot of that stuff. And Mount Vernon's on the borderline of the Bronx, so I got to see a lot of all early Cold Crush and Treacherous 3 and all of that. Actually, let me just one story. So I'm in the Bronx. There's a park. We're all hanging out, and we just going to where the music is. And I saw 4 brothers with trench coats, black long trench coats, and a dude playing a beatbox. It was Flash on the beatbox. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Four before Raheem got in me, way before they signed. I was so blown away. I was just so blown away. Like I was just blown away. Like Melly Mel, Girls the Kaz, and Kumo D made me want to pick up a mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Hey, let me
crazy.
say, Gecko Superstar asked, how did the B-Boy Records deal come up?
I was
Love
gonna
all the
ask
old
you that.
pics.
I was
Well,
gonna ask
the
you
way,
that anyway. But yeah,
yeah, the way,
you might as well give that answer now. Go
all
ahead.
right, the way it came about actually was making a demo, which wasn't Strong Island. If Strong Island again wasn't in existence yet, it was making a demo at the end of high school, going on a senior class trip in a sense, and going into like a mic vocal booth. And I went in there with a beatbox guy, um, one of our old friends. They call him Rob Stinger. Um, but needless to say, we put together a demo, which was the new school. And the end of high school, what we did was we took the new school and we made about 25 copies of it, and we shopped it to every record label. And the record label that responded to us was B-Boy Records. Um, when we went down to have the initial meeting for the new school demo, they asked us pretty much again, like, what else do you guys have? And, as a group, I mean, we were already talking about, like, what could we do to get to the next level? And, maybe making an anthem. Because again, the competition in Long Island at that time of the late 80s going into the 90s, it was getting kind of stiff and it was good competition. But maybe to make an anthem, we'd always be known by that. So we started to think, Long Island is called Strong Island. So like AJ stated earlier, on the way home from the city, which is about an hour and a half drive, I wrote Strong Island. And when we got to Long Island, we kind of like put it down as a demo in our own kind of way, because we always will put together demos before we go to the studio, to save money, of course. But we put it together and we let the label hear it again. And when they heard it, they just pretty much, at that point in time, they gave us all creative control of our album. They didn't come to the studio one time to monitor what we were doing. And about 2 weeks later, we delivered the album Doing Damage. And
Amazing.
they couldn't, yeah, and they couldn't understand at that time. Again, when I talk about the uniqueness of the music and, certain music besides hip hop being great music, um, we had access to sample that stuff. So,
Mhm.
come with one of the greatest engineers in hip hop, in my opinion, Mr. Charlie Murata. Um, we went into his studio and he introduced us to what was called looping the beat. And he had this piece of tape going all around the studio on a pencil and around the doorknobs, and we're sitting there like, what the hell is he doing? But he's looping the beat, and that gave us access to a sample-friendly era and having exposure to a lot of good music. Um, so, that's how it came about. And, once we did that, we put out Doing Damage, and again, we took the pictures for the album cover on our own. We pretty much did the artwork for the album cover on our own, and we produced the album on our own. And they really, as a label, coming from the South Bronx, and a lot of people using drum machines and different things. Um, KRS-One and Scott LaRock was really one of the first groups to come onto that label when they were doing their Criminal Minded album and use samples, whether it was a go-go sample from Trouble Funk or it was just another soul sample. They were like the first group to do that. So I think when they were deciding that they were going to leave the label around the time that we came, and we came with that flavor again, um, it was almost like the label appreciated, but I don't think they knew a lot about like what we were doing up in Long Island at that time.
Okay. So you mentioned KRS-One. Was that not said G though?
Yeah,
Said G?
Seji actually did some of the production for them.
Yeah,
They and I wanted to add one thing. B-Boy was
yeah,
actually a joint deal with Scott
yeah.
and
I'm not sure
Rock
who.
Candy
Yeah,
Records,
but
but Seji was involved in a lot
yeah,
of the production early on
yeah.
with
Yes, he
BDP.
was.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. I'm
Shout
not
out to
sure
Seji.
who. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly like, who did the production and things of that nature, but when it came to like, the album style, the Criminal Minded album, it had some good samples on it, had some very good tracks. So
I mean, I'm
one of the best.
friends. Like I've known said since we initially properly met in 1992, and we've had some conversations to do with this in the early days. So for me, it's like said was the guy. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he's one of those guys that you cannot mention hip hop without mentioning said.
yeah,
But
definitely.
it's the same with any of ultras, really. And
Yeah.
talking of ultras, actually, you got their DJ Mo Love, who's going to be on the tour with you.
Yes, yes,
So
Yes.
yes. That was the
Yeah.
idea of a promoter. Shout out to Mark Davis. He had a relationship with him, and that ended up manifested through that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we
So yeah.
we we needed a DJ at the time for the tour, so that worked out perfectly.
okay, you know what I find interesting is like
Hmm.
we all know about the moves that you guys were making, but while
Hmm.
you were doing your thing so I'm guessing around 82, 83 onwards, right? We
Hmm.
were we were doing our thing. We were making our appearances in school discos, in local after school clubs, and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't know anything about like, oh yeah, let's put on events. So we would just jump on the back of a bus, me and a rapper. I beatboxed, he rapped. So big up Merlin
Right.
for remember those bus journeys. Yeah, those bus journeys we made entertaining. We turned them into a
Yeah.
nightclub.
Yeah.
Um,
That's pretty much how we got signed, because
well,
when we went into the booth in the senior trip, they had a lot of R&B and B and stuff in there, and I was like, yo, man, come here, man, come here, come here. Yo, hit the beatbox for me, and I'm gonna spit this rhyme. And the new school was already a rhyme that I used a lot through high school to battle folks. So it was very easy to go in there and spit it. And the fact that, it was on a beatbox and it was kind of entertaining, and, the beatbox wasn't bad at all. So, it allowed us to go ahead and be noticed to be able to get signed. And it's odd, same story though.
Yeah,
Hip hop in this world.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like you're talking to
Yeah.
someone that started off. I mean, I was
Yeah.
writing, but I was more known for my beatboxing in the early days because I kept the rapping quiet. So,
Yeah.
like me doing the beatboxing, I knew the
Yeah.
importance of like you needed me because we didn't have
Yep.
equipment. That was the equipment.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
that was
Yep.
the equipment. But the reason,
Hip hop started out, we didn't have, so before that you had R&B and all those, they had instruments and they had all that other stuff, and a lot of us in the early days didn't have the money for those things.
that's right.
The turntables became the instrument, the beatbox became the instrument, the microphone became the instrument, and for the lack of having that, that was what the birth and the creativity and the birth of hip hop came from, finding other ways of making music and taking little pieces of songs and extending them and mixing them and all that. That the turntable became our instrument.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. And then I tell you the reason why I actually mentioned my involvement in the early days and doing what I was doing is basically because you guys had more of an infrastructure than we did. So tell us a little bit about the infrastructure, the record labels, and how it all came about, and someone looking at it like, yo, this is a business. We're street guys, but we can make this into something. Tell
Well,
us
New
a little
York
bit.
at
Well,
that time, all the labels were in New York. Like most labels, I mean, there was some Cali stuff, but most of the labels, as far as hip hop, really was based in New York or had a New York office. So that was a little bit probably easier, But with that, there was a million people trying to get on, so it was like, it was still as hard to get on because everyone was trying to get on, sitting outside of labels, rapping for executives when they come out the door. Like it was like crazy
I
like that.
think I think for us, coming from Long Island, it was more or less like somebody not being able to identify a certain poverty level, let's just say. Like where we came from, it was more suburban. We're surrounded by water. There's no projects around. And that's what at the time they identified hip hop with. Like, what kind of story can you be telling when you're running a good life out there? The fun part of hip hop wasn't there yet. It was more or less about the struggles that the MCs seen on the street. And,
Yeah.
so for us, it was like, how do you market something like that? And,
So
huh?
you just said the fun part. You didn't have that. But in one of your lyrics, you say, listen to the situation, my son. I'm as serious as cancer. All fun is done.
Right?
Well,
Could
Yep.
you tell me
absolutely,
more about
absolutely.
it?
Don't get me now. Don't get me wrong.
Long
Long
Island
Island
has
was
its rough
also where
parts.
Long Island was where people moved, to escape Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens. They moved to Long Island. That was one of the places they
Yeah.
moved to. So a lot of times when you move, you bring that environment and that attitude with you. So don't get it
Yeah.
twisted. There was people found out Long Island ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't have, you know, again, not being the five boroughs, we didn't
Yeah.
have a subway. We didn't have, the projects,
Yeah.
the bodega on every corner. The things that you heard people talking about. We got lawns and stuff. Matter of fact, a reporter didn't know how to write about us when we was on B Boy, talking about, well, they're not really gangsters. They're not really, whatever. They're nice guys that cut the lawn and listen to their parents. That's actually, they thought that. Then the writer thought that was a diss. You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it was like. We still had the same stuff, but we had yards and driveways and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
didn't really have.
Less concrete, more trees.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Yeah. The
But
stuff
no,
that we wish
it's
we had.
huh?
The
Huh?
stuff that we wished we had.
Well, I mean, the thing is again, having it, it was great, but for the purpose of what we were falling in love with, what was hip hop. We left that many a days. We jumped on the train. We went to the city to pick up the element of hip hop and how were the guys dressing in the city, and that's how hip hop kind of like also around the world like grew and got bigger. But we went to the city to go buy clothes because, saying, hey, this will make us look like we're cool, like we'll look like rappers. And, it's, but I
Well,
mean,
that's where the style was. The style was them
yeah,
spots in
yeah,
Brooklyn, in the Bronx,
yeah,
and Queens, the Coliseum in Queens. That's where you got your
right,
flavor from, and then you brought it back to where you lived, and you know what I'm saying. You rocked it,
right.
and everybody in your neighborhood didn't really have it yet. You know what I'm saying. So you was kind of like ahead of everybody else. That's how that's how we
So,
got down.
tell us a little bit about. Okay, so we saw everybody kind of looking almost pimped out, right? In the early days, where they were wearing like I don't know, looking more black, long jackets,
Mm-hmm.
looking slick, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, we saw Run DMC, the shell toes and the leathers and stuff. So they brought, the Adidas and everything. So they brought a whole different vibe. Like, did you see that from anybody else beforehand, or was Run DMC the guys that really
So
put that on the
so
map?
so talking to because I've done a lot of interviews and a lot of the old school, they were emulating the Rick James and the rock stars. That's how they dressed with, and that's what the example was. Run DMC was like one of the first. What they wore on the street, what they wore to the show, they went on stage with, and they didn't go change into something else. And it was you can identify it in the street, and it was more. But the equivalent of that is De La Soul. So, and I used that. I interviewed in my book about 914. I interviewed Lord Jamal from Brand Nubians. He said, being from the street, he thought he had to have the jean jackets, the Kangos, the jewelry, and all that. De La Soul showed him that they didn't have to dress like that to be hip hop. And then you saw how their style changed, the Brand Nubians. You know what I'm saying? Like, so De La had that same kind of effect on a lot of groups. They didn't dress like your traditional, hip hop, the gold chains, the traditional wear. They had a whole different thing and a vibe and inspired. Like I said, Lord Jamal said that inspired him and some of the look of Brand Nubians and other groups like that.
Mm.
The great thing about hip hop is that, you can go grab a blazer from your father's closet, roll up the sleeves, slick up the collar, grab one of his hats or something like that, maybe like a Stetson hat or something, and hits the streets with your jeans on, and it's considered to be hip hop.
Yeah, bro.
Because hip hop
Listen,
hip
the
hop is
great,
about expression,
yeah,
and you
bro.
can make it
Listen,
up with.
the great thing about hip hop is that you can walk on stage barefoot, which is what
Right,
I used to do sometimes. You know what I mean?
I've
So
actually
right,
seen some artists do that. I'm like,
I've done
yo,
it. I've
right.
done it myself.
we never
So
did it, but I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of artists that I respect do it though. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah, it is
Hmm.
what it
Yeah.
is. But can I just take it back to the point where you were talking about the looping, right? So
Yes,
Uh-huh.
you
yes.
were talking about the looping, and I just want to understand because when I was starting to do my productions and everything, we got into the point where we were getting drum machines, we were getting Akai S950s, what do you call it, the SP12s, all those kind of things. But you're talking about tape being all over the room. Explain that again, just so I understand. So are you saying there was no
Okay, so
samples? It was tapes kind of being just pretty much taped together. What are you saying?
Well, that is the loop. What you were doing in the drum machine,
And
we
press
actually
play,
had
press
to
play.
do. You saw it to be hold up the tape. You actually had to cut the tape and cut and paste it and loop it around
Right.
over, and then somewhat sample that. You know what I'm saying? And we are blessed that we lived in a somewhat sample friendly era because the labels we were hip hop was still looked at as this fad that wasn't going to last. Labels wasn't really looking at it as something that was going to make money. A lot of artists didn't know their stuff was being sampled. Like we did a show at Stony Brook, and the guy that made Bounce Rock Skate Roll, he was now making house music. He did a record called Break for Love, and he was on the same bill with us. And I wanted
Vaughn
him, yeah,
Mason.
yeah, I wanted him to know that I didn't want him to freak out when he saw us take it away off his beat. And, we talked. But he didn't know that. A lot of people didn't know, and it was more friendly than I think they start realizing it was a business. That's when Biz got caught up. Biz is the first major artist that got caught up
Oh,
when
I
the
remember that.
sample, the loop, and the game changed. It was like he wasn't using nobody's stuff without permission. I mean, even Rappers Delight, they basically used the instrumental of Good Times and rapped on it. Like they didn't do nothing to it. Like they basically used the instrumental. Like,
But
but we were getting away with stuff like that.
correct me if
Well,
I'm wrong. From what you said earlier on, you basically were given access to all these earlier stuff that you could sample from.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then all
because
of a
it's
sudden you're told you can't do it and we're going to sue you if you do.
Well, as artists, I have to respect. You should get paid for your work when somebody else makes money off of your work. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't know. We weren't making actual music and playing instruments. We were taking bits and pieces of other things and creating something new out of it. So I'm blessed that we lived in a sample friendly era, but I understand the importance as an artist of someone paying you when they sample you, as someone who has been heavily sampled
in the
verbally
early
and musically. So
in the early days, right? When it came to sampling, it came to cutting tape. Um, you cut the tape. Like for instance, like a song like
We've
Strong
done it.
Island.
We've
A
done
song,
it, so I understand. We use the
yeah,
Amp 456. So yeah,
yeah.
we get it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So you know you cut it and eventually what you do is that you feed the track now into another tape and it's just going around and around and around and around and that's where we were not only lucky to come through a sample friendly era but pulling things off of records wasn't so it wasn't going on for so long that we didn't have a great choice. Like some of the first albums that artists made, going through their hip hop career, some of the stars, those albums are filled with like 6 and 7 great singles because these are the things that the routines was what they did all through high school, so they were perfectionists about it. And but by the time the second and the third generation of hip hop came along, um, even going into the fourth, now some of these artists that we used to sample so freely, they had these publishing companies running around, getting ready to catch everybody who sampled their stuff. So, now you had to get permission and,
Can I
you
can
know,
I ask can I ask something based on that? Do you sometimes feel like they gave you the permission to use the stuff just so they could screw you over later?
no,
no,
we did it without permission.
Okay.
In the
But,
beginning, we
but
just we
I know
jacked it
record
in the beginning.
labels.
Yeah.
I know record labels that actually gave permission. So
yeah,
there was a record
Yeah,
label
some of
called
that
Charlie
happened.
Records. So
I
there was
view
a
it
record
as,
label. Sorry, I was
no,
going to say there was a record label called Charlie Records who offered me a deal at one point, and they had access to all the blues and all that kind of stuff. And I went into their office, which was actually around the corner from where I lived. Went in and I see this archive of tons of stuff,
yeah,
loads, and they were like, "You can use any of this." You know what I mean? They were giving me, they
yeah.
were like, "We signed you. You can use
I
any
look
of
at
it."
it, yeah, because I look at it because the way that I view it is there's not a lot of those songs that were made back then that would have turned around and been replayed if it wasn't for our era. The fact that we sampled a little piece off of songs made so many thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of people going when the DJ's going out beat
Millions,
searching. Right,
millions.
right. When a DJ's going out searching for beats and all he wants to do is find the record, he's willing to buy the record now because of the one piece of the break that somebody used or some rapper made popular. And I feel like that was kind of like the change
The
off.
payback. That was the
We didn't
payback.
get we didn't get permission.
It extended the
We
life.
didn't. Yeah, we didn't get permission. But look how many R&B artists and soul artists and stuff hit the stage again because of the light that the hip hop sample and the MC. Most important, the MC gave that song new life.
Free Payne
So to
started doing
me,
shows again after
yeah,
Strong Island. Free Payne started doing shows overseas and
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more
But
shows and stuff.
see that Free the Pain record that you sampled, right?
uh-huh,
You know the two bars of the beat, but you used one bar of it because obviously she starts singing on the second bar, right? So
uh-huh,
I used to like my DJs. So I have to big up Starlight Assault Squad. That's Joel, Val, Tony, Seb, Chris. Right when we were doing our rehearsals and everything, so they were all DJs, and I was the only MC and beatboxer. So when
right,
we used to do rehearsals, they used to cut that So they would literally every bar bring in the beat, and we were planning on using that, and then you lot came out with it. We're like, no.
Yeah, yeah,
So it was like that. That's how we felt. You know what? I
yeah.
wanted to hate you, but I couldn't because the track was so dope.
Thank you. I think when we did that track though, not only did we do that track, when we seen, of course, as New York hip hop artists, East Coast hip hop artists, well, I shouldn't even make that assumption because we're just hip hop artists. But when you make a record and you're young, you just want to be on the radio. And when we seen, how far that record was stretching, how it was going into Europe, how it was people were saying like, the record changed their life. To today, people are like, yo, I listen to that record every single day. I work out to that record. I do this, and how the records become a part of people's life. It's like, it's just really, really, really um, a blessing to be able to know that that record was made for so many more people than just what would be assumed, yeah, Strong Island. It's like Strong Island resonated all around the world, and the world embraced us. And today I just want to give again a super duper thank you to everyone around the world, like Europe, United States, all over, that has continuously played that record, because I tell you, the record doesn't have a video. It does have a video in a sense, but it's not a professionally filmed video. It was a variety show video, but there were no videos ever done, for JVC Force in regards to any of our records. So just allowing us to hold your ear and be a group that stayed around for 37 years now with just the sounds you can hear, and not the visions you can see. We
Can I
thank you very much and love you.
can I throw in a suggestion for that?
Yes.
I suggest you find a couple of guys that are young as what you were when you did the record and get them to play your role and actually do a proper video for it.
Yeah. We thought
Yeah,
about that a couple of times because my son looks just like me, and he's
You
young,
should do it.
man.
You
you
Yeah.
should
know,
do it
you know,
because
you know, you know what else is good? And to go with what B was saying, so this is the 37-year anniversary. And you got to figure we did all of this before internet, before social media,
Yeah.
on the streets and underground throughout the country, everywhere. We went viral before viral was a thing, without internet, without camera phones, without
Right.
social media.
yeah,
And 37 years later, people are still wanting to hear lyrics that we went in the studio in 87 and did, that came out in 88. And I'm honored about that. And I got to shout out the fans, because the fans are the ones who kept this name JVC Force going for all of these years. And that all the DJs that played on satellite radio and the mix shows and stuff, they kept us alive. So even though we didn't have no new music, we didn't have no video, and we were out of sight for a while, the fans kept us alive, for us to be having this conversation with you, for us to be joining you and sharing the stage with you in London, for us doing the Urban Matters Festival in the Netherlands, which you do before we go to London. So shout them out, because we wouldn't be coming to London without them. It's them that brought us and then bringing us overseas. And then the London promoter found out and wanted to bring us to London. So shout out to Urban Matters. We do Urban Matters on the 20th in the
Yeah.
Netherlands.
Shout outs to Ultra Mag. I see Ultra Mag checking in.
Yes, he's
What's up,
on there.
man?
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, that's
And we want to
family as
shout
well.
out.
Ultimate's family.
Yeah,
Go
and we
ahead.
we also not,
No, I'm sorry.
and we also want to shout out all of the people throughout the years that has sent us Facebook posts and different things like that to say, hey, you know what? I hear your record on the radio, and those are mostly a lot of how we know, what we're playing this time of the day, or we're playing because of the fans, or certain people sending us posts with like they'll take a picture of what's in their car, like, hey, it's playing on satellite radio, da da da. So thank you to everybody that's just taking the time to, like I say again, just keep us alive, and thank you to
Listen,
yourself, man.
listen. There's a track that you guys done that I remember where at one point back in the days we thought you were on your way to England, right? We thought you were on your way to Europe. because
Mhm.
It was a few times we were on our way that didn't happen.
I know,
right.
I know,
But
I know what you're gonna say, man.
what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say?
Is that the track about is that the skit?
Yeah, the bugging.
The skit track, and they're talking
Yeah,
about the plane going down over,
yeah.
and
What you're talking about? Yeah, JVC Force is bugging.
yeah, there's an interesting story about that skit too, because realizing that I'm the only voice that's not on that skit, I'm the
Okay.
only one that happened to not be in a pretty close to maybe fatal accident that they had
Oh,
Yeah,
some
I broke
time
my hip. I
after.
broke, dislocated, fractured, and shattered my hip. And Kurt got a concussion and some other things, and then there were two other people in the car with us too. My man G Reg, who's the fourth person on the back of the Strong Island album cover. There's four of us. He's the fourth person on the back,
Doing
and another
damage.
brother, and then yeah, and another brother. So yeah, we but it was like a joke in the studio, and it says AJ broke something or whatever. I broke, dislocated, and fractured and shattered my hip bone, and I was out of commission. But that was May 24th. But I was able to go to Germany in August. I just had a cane, and part of the time I was on a bar stool. But we rocked on though. We rocked on. But yeah,
yo.
B wasn't on that record, and he's the only one that wasn't injured.
Oh my God. So it's almost like you made it come to life.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I was in the studio, and I think at the time that we were doing it in the studio, I sat back and I was like, nah, I ain't playing like that because I'm not gonna play like that. But it's
Well,
funny.
I'm not
So
the one saying all of it either.
that
I'm not
didn't,
the one saying the
yeah,
things
no,
that happened.
it didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen. It didn't happen the way it was explained on the record itself.
But
But
it's still
it
manifested.
was, but it was,
It
yeah, and it was,
manifested that energy that yes, there's
yeah, and
definitely.
Listen,
even though I wasn't in the car with them, um, but I was there. I was in a car, behind with, some other friends of ours. But the thing about it is that, like I said at the time, the level of friendship and seeing your music stop for a second. You know what I
you
mean?
know, you know
And there
what?
were,
You know what? I'm gonna ask you more details on the accident, but I want to tell you a little story of something
hmm
that was happening with us. So in 2003, I recorded an album called Storms Are Brewing, and we went on tour with it in 2004. Now,
hmm
the album was called Storms Are Brewing. Now,
hmm
imagine we're going to. I'm going to mention UK locations because that's where we were
right,
going. So imagine you're going to Exeter, like the sun is
hmm
shining, and as soon as we're a mile away from Exeter, it starts raining heavily. Right? Storms are brewing. Then the same thing happened for about 8, 9 different locations in a row. And we're like, bloody hell, it's sunny, and then all of a sudden it's raining, and no one's going to
hmm
turn. And it was mad. And it was really crazy that was going on. And I ended up as a joke saying, you know what I should have done? I should have called the album "I'm Going to Be a Millionaire."
Right. You
yeah,
know, so the lesson in all of this is you speak life and death with the power of your tongue. Words have power. We don't understand the power in what we say. So I say this for all artists coming up now, all artists out there. Be mindful of what you say in your lyrics. Like you
that's a
actually
good point.
speak in power. You know, you
Right,
speak even the Bible tells you, you speak life and death with your tongue. So I mean, your words have power. So you have the power to influence people. You have the power to uplift people. You have the power to tear down people. You have that power in with your lyrics, with your words, with
right.
everything you say. Yeah,
And that's
Don't
the
rap
point I
about
was trying to
something
make.
that you're not.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the point that I was trying to make. That's why I wanted
right.
to kind of reiterate what you were saying and explain my story, my experience, just so you know that is exactly what
Yeah,
happens.
I want to give you a
So
shout out. Wait for the people that are watching on our side of the pond, as they say. Yo, this brother right here, Blade, has been putting in work in the
Blade.
UK and London forever. Go follow him. Go check out his. Go Google him on YouTube. Go check out his IG. The brother has been putting in work. So I know like this is so you can we could talk to the London market over there that we might not reach. But now, a lot of people are U.S. people are watching from us side, and I want them to know who you are. You have been putting in work, and I salute you because you've been like this underground, like this underground legend over there. Like, I mean, I did my homework the first time I seen your name on the flyer. I looked you up. I started doing that. I said, oh, okay, okay. And then some people had sent me some links, and I was watching them. So I just wanted to give you your flowers and shout you out as well.
And I appreciate that because, like I said, parallel to what you were doing in the States, some of us were already doing it in the UK. So we were literally like, I don't know, 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds when we got into this, you know what I mean? So, by the time like everyone else started benefiting off the back of the work that we put in, we were almost getting pushed out. Most left, I stayed. Eventually I managed to get a break. So I appreciate the acknowledgement. And for me, hip hop has been life changing, you know. So I appreciate everything that you guys done because while we were rehearsing, we were listening to you guys. You made your record the year before I made mine,
Mm.
you know, and like you paved the way so we could learn. You know what I mean?
We
And
thank you, man. Thank you for that acknowledgement, man. Really appreciate that.
no, it was big. Like, because you have to remember, like, we're kids and we didn't have YouTube to go and learn. And in some ways, I think that was so good that we didn't have YouTube because now people are using YouTube as a thing to go to learn from, and they're learning from the same people, and they're all sounding alike. There is no originality. Like it's rare. The originality is rare. Now, in our day, we prided ourselves on sounding like ourselves. We prided ourselves on being original. Now it's like, no, you got to be like everyone else to get a break.
Now you had to be original to survive. You couldn't be considered biting someone's style. You had to, and then being from Long Island, we had to prove ourselves even more than the artists from the five boroughs. You know what I'm saying? Just to be accepted. So we had to bring more creativity and more things and stuff like that to it. So that's the difference in the era. Like when you heard a Big Daddy Kane record, you knew it was Kane. When you heard a Rakim record, you knew. When you heard KRS, you knew. When you heard Public Enemy, you knew. When you heard Biz, you knew. When you heard Kid and Play, whoever, you knew. I came back from Georgia. I was living in Georgia for 12 years. I came back one summer. I turned on Hot 97 or whatever. I was like, ooh, that's that new Locks record. It wasn't the Lots. And the next 10 records I heard sound like a Lots record. None of them were the Lots. I was like, yo, what the heck? Like everybody was trying to
Exactly.
sound like the
Exactly.
Lots. Like,
But like on the subject of what you just said there as well. When I was refreshing my memory on because there was one track I remember listening to one of your tracks at the time the album came out and thinking that sounds like my melody, Eric B. and Rakim. However, what you done vocally on it wasn't like Eric B. and Rakim. It was your, do you know what I mean? Do you know the beat I'm talking about? I've forgotten the name of the track.
I do not.
Yeah, I do know. It's the third one. Force is the boss.
That's the one. So that
Yeah,
that to me sounded like check out my melody. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
yeah,
But at the
yeah,
same time, like I said, when you're listening to the vocal tones and everything, you don't sound nothing like Rakim. So we can still differentiate and go, right, that's JVC. You see what
yeah.
I'm saying?
The funny thing about that beat is that was one of the beats that we did, and we were like, okay, we've got a lot of samples on the album, so let's try to play something with the drum machine and let's try to, like, what I'm saying, like, play the keys and stuff like that. We still ended up, like, on the choruses and stuff, ultimately like putting little samples in there and stuff, like little
Oh,
riffs. But we that's one of the beats that we were trying to be original with. And the funny thing about it is it turned out that it seemed to have played a lot, like, overseas. It's one of the ones.
yeah, someone else, and there was another thing I was going to say, and someone else has just refreshed my memory on that as well. So, who influenced who? Did EPMD influence you in any way, or did you influence them? Because there is a track on that album as well that sounds like EPMD.
So we
Um,
Beat
lived
one.
5 minutes apart from each other. We worked in the studio. Their single actually came out 3 to 6 months before us, and I think it was just a matter of a similar sound from the similar area because they definitely weren't influenced by us, and we weren't influenced by them. We were both in the studio working, but
But you
we
know which
also were
track I'm
working in the
talking about.
same we working in the same studio. But yeah, there is a track that we used the same beat or a very similar beat on
Yeah.
our on their third album and our second album.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which track is that?
Um,
I can't remember the title personally, but I know
what
there
was
was
the
a track
joint? What
on
we
there.
used? It's the same. It's actually almost the same beat. It's the same beat. We just didn't know they were
I'm
using it.
not
They didn't know
sure.
we were using it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not
it
sure
wasn't similar.
because I'm not sure because really back then, to be honest with you, when we were working on tracks, a lot of times, um, the only time we actually really like listened to the radio was Friday nights and Saturday nights when the mix showed because that's what time the DJ Red Alerts and Mr. Magic and big time radio DJs would come on and start to scratch the hip. That's the times that our music would come on. So we try not to be too influenced by anything that we had heard or um, we just pretty much like we had access to pretty big music collections back then. Like my dad, he grew up in England, so when he shipped his music collection in to the United States, it gave us, and he was the person who typically, when it came to, hey, there's a beat like it's a Frida Payne, he pulled it out. He had it. My father had a massive music collection, and
Amazing.
so yeah, and
So when you actually did Strong Island,
yeah.
right? Did you plan to make an anthem, or did you just say, "Look, let's just make the best record we can and see where it goes"?
It was written as a singular song when I first wrote it. And when we got to Long Island, it was written like a singular song. There was four verses, and then we had to break it up. And then the conversations of us went from naming it Strong Long Island to, hey, let's cut out the long and let's just call it Strong Island. And then, it was like, hey, you know what? Well, Chuck D did say, what I'm saying, like, Strong Island. And it's not that we created the name Strong Island because we didn't. Um, we just made the name bigger.
We popularized
Strong
it.
Island's, yeah, Strong Island's always been here. It's just by the time we got here and we put an anthem on it, it's what are we gonna do to make ourselves more known out here? It's there's a South Bronx, there's a Bridges Over, there's Brooklyn in the house, there's all of these Puerto Rico, ho, and all of that stuff that people yell out in the party. What are we gonna do to let people know that we're out there and we're making some noise? Because, like AJ said earlier, a lot of the groups, with the exception of Public Enemy, in the early days of hip hop that came, um, they didn't boast Long Island. You would have thought that they were from the city and stuff, but they were in Long Island. They were sleeping in Long Island, but they
So it's
weren't
almost
boasting it.
like having a fat girlfriend and being ashamed.
Right? Yeah, yeah, like keeping the back door, the side door
Like
open.
LL never told y'all. LL in the beginning never told y'all he was from Bayshore. He's from Long Island.
Uh,
They
Mhm.
moved to Queens, but he's from Long Island. And there's so many
Yeah,
other
so
people. They weren't repping Long Island. He was
yeah,
repping Hollis or wherever he was repping in Queens. He was repping
yeah,
Farmers Boulevard. He was
yeah.
repping Queens.
You
but
know,
I want to say, huh?
sorry, go on.
No, I want to say though, Strong Island, being a big record, it's it again, it was the type of record that it had to let people know whether it's a hit or miss, had to let people know that Strong Island existed. Long Island existed. Most people share the argument of Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. They're all connected, you know. But again, back then, you couldn't have the debate with someone and say, hey, they're from Brooklyn, you're from Long Island, and convince them, you know what, it's all the same stretch. There's no bridge that disconnects us. So as Long Island, when you end Queens and you leave Queens and you get ready to go into Long Island, that's where hip hop is at the time back then wasn't really noticed. A lot of the groups that came on before us, um, like for instance, like a Rakim, the first deal, I believe it was like Eric B featuring Rakim. So I think maybe the deal was Eric B's. So it didn't matter that he was from Long Island. You know, it was again, labels weren't looking at Long Island. They were saying,
What,
we
what
don't know
labels?
how we can market them.
What labels even looking at locations, or were they just looking at the artists? I mean, did they care about the locations? Did it matter?
They just they just wanted to know, hey, listen, you know, this artist is from Brooklyn, or this artist is from Manhattan, or this artist is from the Bronx. And yeah, you know what? When it comes to like what hip hop is all about, the struggle, the the poverty levels, and we have poverty in Long Island too. Struggle is everywhere. But
Yeah.
it's the story. It's the story that they were under the impression that one could not tell being from Long Island. Look, De La Soul made one of the greatest albums in hip hop with 6 Feet High and Rising. And they
Mm.
grew up and went into a house every day that they were working on that album. So the thing is and I know they come from an area too that's like, you know what I'm saying, it has its rough areas and stuff like that. And I know them guys, you know, a lot of them, they got rough guys around them and stuff. So the thing is that we have a story. We had a story that we could tell also, you know, but we told it in a different way, you know.
I
Once
want
we
I'm sorry.
hmm?
I wanted to do something real quick, and we can come back to all of that. I see some people saying that they had to leave, and I know one of the main reasons we're here. We want to tell everybody before they do leave, because I know a lot of people are coming in and out. Check us out on the what day is it? Blade, the 24th, the 24th.
24th, 24th of September.
September 24th, 229 London. We are going to be, JVC Force is going to be our first performance in the UK, and
Ever.
Blade is going to be on the stage. He's on the bill as well. So if y'all have not got your tickets, get your tickets for 229 for September 24th. JVC Force is coming through, and we're gonna put on a show for y'all. We've been dying to get to London. It's been a couple of times we were supposed to go and it got canceled, and you know things happen and everything. We're coming to the UK. 37 something years later, but we coming, and all of y'all out there, yo, come through. We'll have merch. We'll have the whole thing. We're gonna rock the mic. We're gonna give y'all that JVC Force flavor. Yo, I'm telling so if you have not and you can hear my voice and you like JVC, go get your ticket now for 229 September 24th to check out JVC and Blade. And shout out to All City um Taxi
All
Talk
City,
Show, because I think we're
All
doing
City Steve, All City
yeah, All
Steve.
City Steve, because I think we're doing his show. Somebody's echoing. I think we're doing his interview in the cab the day before the show. So on the 23rd, we're gonna be on that All City Talk Show taxi thing where he's driving us around and interview us. But come through. JVC Force will be in the house in the UK, 229, September 24th. Be there. Now we can get back to the interview, but I know some people said they were leaving, and I wanted to make sure we got that out there and we promoted the show to all those who might have to go. So shout out to Uncle E. Shout out to my man from Atlanta, Reginald McKee. He's connected to London a lot. He's tuned in, and everybody else. I've been trying to hit y'all individually um, in the comments. If we haven't shouted y'all out, thank to everybody, all the JVC Force heads who are tuned in and rocking with us. We appreciate you. Go ahead, B. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to get
Nah.
that out there because I saw four people say, I might have to leave soon. I might have to leave soon. I got to go. And I wanted to make sure we got that out.
Nah, I'll wrap it up, man. But basically, like, nah, we're gonna hit the European sands, man, with a whole lot of love, like we do. You know,
Absolutely.
you know, you know. So
Oh,
if for anybody that if you happen to recognize us from this podcast while we out there, spot us, hey, don't be afraid to shout. Don't be afraid to approach us. I mean, we will stop. You know, we will take pictures with everyone, and I mean, we'll be out there, man. Basically on your land. You know what I'm saying? Falling in love. You
excellent.
know.
We were talking about the word the words Strong Island, and you mentioned Chuck D. So, with all respect to Chuck D, and he's one of my heroes, right? Someone that I know very reliable, like someone that I can basically rely on for information, all that kind of stuff, right? So,
Hmm.
but with all respect to Chuck D, he said the word, and to us, it was a dope line. It was like, oh my God, Strong Island. We didn't think of that, you know?
Well,
Um,
that song. Hmm.
But then what happened is you lot came and made it iconic. You turned it into an anthem, and all of
Cause
a sudden we're now listening. We've gone back, and now we're listening to Chuck D saying "Strong Island" in a completely different way, even though we've heard the record a million times. Do you know what I'm
well, when
saying?
that, yeah,
Wait, can I say
when
something real quick? If you be the dope thing about Chuck D, we again sampled his voice
Went
on
full.
hit on their next album. In the shout outs, when this is when we had albums and liner notes and credits and stuff and thank yous. In the thank yous, it says thank you JVC in parentheses Strong Island Force. We sampled him and he thanked us on his next album.
That's
That's
the
the
point I was.
dude. That's how Chuck is. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He ain't beef that we sampled his voice. He thanked us for making the record on their joint. And yo, Chuck has always been like a big supporter of JVC Force and putting our name in places that we weren't out and always bigging us up. So shout out to Chuck D. Go ahead, B.
no Chuck, the song that the actual song that Strong Island, the words come off of is "Rebel Without a Pause,"
Mm-hmm.
But
and
Long
at the
Island,
time at the yeah, and at the time, "Rebel Without a Pause" when it hit the radio sonically and just how hard it was. It sounded like it was going to be one of the biggest records, and it was one of the biggest records. From the time I heard that record, I was like, you know what? This record is basically riveting. And then, you start to connect to all the words and you learn how to sing all the words. So we knew exactly where the Strong Island would come from, you know. Um, one day while I was out with Chuck D at an event here in Atlanta, I asked him, I said, why didn't you? I said, how come you never approached us or sued us for the use of that your voice? And he simply told me, he said, man, he was like, you know what, man? He said, you guys, Long Island really needed that song. And to me, every time I tell that story, I feel like, you know what? It feels great because of how much I know that as a group, we put into um, where we come from, or promoting things, or talking to the people where we come from and things like that. So to hear another Long Island artist turn around and say, hey, you know what, hip hop really needed that song, Long Island really needed that anthem. It was like somebody, like, almost you're in a track race and they're coming up and they're gonna hand you the baton and you get a chance to run. It felt like real motivating, and coming from someone like Chuck D, who, like I said, is a smart guy, but just so humble. It just felt like a blessing. And like I said, like AJ said too, like Public Enemy is definitely a group that we admired, like, greatly. Coming through our career, when a lot of people say I listened to JVC when I was working on my album, we were listening to groups like Public Enemy, just wishing one day that we can be so organized or just have a shot, like, you know what I mean? Because when they came out as a like a phenomena. I think Public Enemy was one of the first rap groups that I seen actually doing like arenas. They were huge, so
you
we thank them.
you said another artist. So I just want to correct you on that because
Who's
Chuck
that?
D was not just another artist.
Not another artist, but yeah, Chuck D was phenomenal,
I do
and
that
and so was
respectfully. I do that
yes,
respectfully. Like Chuck D
yes,
was
yes,
not
yes,
another artist. He was just never
yes.
another artist. Like I don't like Chuck D is. Like
Hmm.
see, I'm into football and martial arts and stuff. So once every 25 years, a Bruce Lee comes along. Once every
Hmm.
25 years, a Maradona comes along. And
Hmm.
Chuck D's that guy. Once every 25 years, we're waiting for that other Chuck D.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what we're waiting for.
Chuck D is
There
phenomenal.
may never be another Chuck D. There may be something similar to it, but there may never be another Chuck D. So,
Chuck D is phenomenal. Flavor Flav is phenomenal. Professor Griff at what he
shout to
does. The
the
whole
whole
crew.
bomb squad and all that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The producers, everyone. The Shockley brothers. I mean, if we only had like the organization, like I said, some things you look at all through your life, and you get older to our age, and you still find yourself admiring everything that someone does. And Chuck D is definitely, and Public Enemy for the whole matter, is definitely one of those groups that I admire strongly because, again, um, we're all from Long Island, but they've never, saying stop talking. And Chuck D is he's been super supportive of a lot of things that, just about everything we've done, but, other projects that I did on the side, he's always been very um, embracing of those too.
Why do you think? Because when I was making my records, for me, it was important to put my neighborhood on the map. So I
Hmm.
made a point of telling everyone, I'm from New Cross. I'm from New Cross. So, why do you think that's an important thing for us as human beings to basically get some kind of validation by addressing where we come from?
Well, you
I
can't,
mean, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you can't make it anywhere until you make it in your neighborhood. That's where it all starts. Whether it starts at rapping on a corner in your neighborhood or beating on a table in your high school and rapping while, someone does the beatbox to eventually like, getting a driver's license and knowing other people and, you go to other towns and now, you're doing it there. It all starts where you come from. So, that's,
I talked to Daddy O. It was about 10 years ago, and he said he was complimenting us on Strong Island, and he said every group has to find their tribe, has to find their thing, and y'all found, sometimes in the beginning that's your 5 to 8 blocks around you or whatever, or your city or your area, your county. Once you tap into that, then you can expand. And he was talking about we found our tribe, we found our niche, and it's important. Everybody wants to be every area wants to be recognized. Like when Nelly represents St. Louis, and people
mhm.
that start
Yeah.
representing Atlanta, and NWA start representing Compton. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a pride thing. Like, this is where we are. This is where we reside. This is our plant, our piece of the earth. And we representing that. And I think that's just common for everybody. You want to represent where you come from. You want this is it right here. And that's just human nature. You want to represent. You want to represent and hold it down for where you live.
Yeah. When we say living in CI, who the hell am
Who
I?
the hell am I?
Right. When we say that, we want you to know that CI stands for Central Islip. There's been
Hmm.
some little discrepancy at times. People are like, oh yeah, they're from Coney Island, they're from Brooklyn. No, we're from we're from all the way about 35 to 40 miles out east from the city. Exit 43 north off the southern state, 55 or 66 off the LIE, whichever you prefer. We are from Central Islip, Long Island. And when we
Word.
did our record and we talk Central Islip, we're talking about our upbringing. We're talking about the people that we grew up with. We're talking about the people that we went to high school proms with. We're talking about people we went to junior proms with. We're talking about people that came home and continued to um, try to uphold the neighborhood or do what we needed to do even after they came out of college. The people, I mean, we're talking about just the community. We're talking about every um, family that their parents started off as immigrants and brought us up to Long Island as kids, and we eventually now, um, 55 years later, we're still friends, etc., etc. We're talking about that, and until you get a hold of that, and you have people. Or you have the respect and you show the same respect and love and appreciation for where you came from. Until you have that, I don't think that you can just go grab the game because at some point in time, you have to come home, and your love, your foundation is home.
You know,
And shout out to Central Islip, Long Island, all of Long Island. But Central Islip, Long Island has always held us down. There are people out there still out there representing Central Islip, Long Island. They
And
rock with
Brentwood.
us. They come out, like I'm saying all of Strong Island, but specifically Central Islip. They
Hmm.
come out and they support. I know you
Yep.
said you wanted to get some crowd question, audience question. Was there any audience questions from the audience that we didn't answer yet? I don't know how
um,
much long, what time you want
no,
to end this up.
I'm flexible. I'm here as long as
Okay,
you
but
guys want to
I
be
just
here.
wanted to give. I know you
Yeah.
mentioned you wanted to do that, so I didn't know if you saw anything
No,
any
no.
audience from questions from the audience.
Not really. I mean, I'm reading them, but I'm not seeing any specific questions
Okay.
other than the first one that got asked about the labels. But we'll come to that anyway. But yeah, it's weird with you saying all that you mentioned about your own neighborhood supporting you and stuff, because so many other artists I speak to, and they feel like their own neighborhood is the ones that let them down. That they have to go somewhere else to get the fans.
That is actually true, but it's a matter
Not
of
for us
repping where
though.
you. It's a matter of where you repping where you come from. Like it's always harder to be. It's most hardest to be accepted by home because those people know you from day one, and other people look at you. They seen you good, your bad, everything. So you it's always hard to get accepted. But it's not like that. Like I live in Westchester, the Locks take 914 and Yonkers on their back everywhere they go. When you hear the Locks of DMX, they're from Yonkers. They rep Yonkers all over the world. It's just a matter of repping where you're from. And that's what it is. Repping Long Island, repping Strong Island, repping Central Islip. And that's what it is. And even those people that's hard that don't give you love in the beginning, eventually, you repping where they from too. And you give them pride and sometimes, you got your haters, they don't want to give you the love and stuff, but they still appreciate you repping where they from. So, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I think you have a different experience to a lot of other people, and it's the neighborhood mentality. Every neighborhood, I guess, is different. Some people
well,
don't
no,
want to
no,
see
but
you
I
back.
understand because we got in the beginning, there was some, you got friendly hate, rival, not acceptance. Oh, they think they this, you think you always gonna get that from home. But you can't let that stop. You got to overcome that. You repping where you from
Nobody
regardless.
said anything about letting us stop them. That just
No,
makes us
no,
grow
no. Yeah,
more.
yeah. But no, I
Let me
understand.
say,
But people don't. There's have been people who have not been accepted at home, and and and
And
as
it's
far as
destroyed them.
support, didn't
And it's destroyed
support
them.
them. They come out and say what's up. Oh, that's our group. They didn't buy the records. They didn't come out to the shows. I understand that. I see that a lot. As a hip hop journalist for years, I've spoke to a lot of artists
So
who have
can
that
I just
experience.
ask? So Brent basically said, Strong Island. Apart from Strong Island, what is your favorite JVC Force joint? Now I'm gonna ask it in a slightly different way, right? When you have a song that everybody keeps reminding you is the one that they know, does that in any way take anything away from the song for you where you're like, I don't really want to perform that no more. I want to perform the other stuff that I like.
I think we're always going to have to perform Strong Island at some point, even
Right,
if it's even
but
if
do
it's
you
only
want
half.
to, or do you
Huh?
feel you have to?
Nah, that's the song that put us on the map. I think I speak for me and B. That's always going to be a part of who we are. That song is always going to be what we're remembered for. As far as me, one of my favorite joints for me specifically was the song "Tear the Show Up." I think to me that was my best performance on record as an MC. I think that was one of my best performances. That is a favorite of mine. I like style of lyrics. I like keep a handle, but I mean Tear the Show is always like I wanted that. Like we're gonna do Tear the Show Up over there. You know what I'm saying? I always want to do that song. But Strong
I
Island's
think
always. I don't think there's ever a time that we're gonna be like, oh, we don't want to do that song. It's who we are. It's what they know. Even if we don't do the whole song, we give you just a little tease of it. It's probably always
You
gonna be
know,
in the show.
you know how we could make the show even more interesting.
What?
So we all know JVC's coming over. We all know Blade's going to be there, and we got DJ Snuff and we got DJ Random going to be there as well. Bro, me, I could battle both of you on stage. We could have a battle.
I am not battling you in your home place, and I ain't 22 no more. I'm gonna be 60, and I ain't doing no battling like that. But I mean, I hear you. Something playful like that. I mean, might be interesting, but yeah, I ain't doing no
I
battling.
reckon. I reckon we got 2 weeks. We should do something where either you guys jump on one of my beats or I jump on one of your beats and do something. You know what I mean? It'd be good to bring it together. But I think it will have to be a case of I don't want to bring you out before your time. I got to do my thing. Let people wait, get anxious. Are they coming on? We'll even tell everyone you're not here. Make everyone kick up a fuss, riot, everything.
So what was
let
your
me
favorite
let
beat?
me let
What
me
was your favorite song? What is your favorite joint outside of Strong Island, B?
um
You
I
didn't
want to
answer
say
that.
I want to say probably Intro to Dance and Big Tracks.
Okay, okay. Also favorites of mine too. Those are favorites. Yes.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
Can we go back to, you discussed, you kind of, not in full detail, but you explained you had an accident.
Yeah,
Can you
so
tell us?
so
Can
we
you
were
tell us the
coming from
details?
we were coming from WBAU, that's Wild Man Steve, Delphi University, where Public Enemy and all of them came from. Dre from Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, Bill Stephanie, the Shockley, bro, everybody came from there. So we were doing it. It was a we did the show. It was we were on our way back, and we were in two cars. I was actually driving Kurt's car, and a dude who had worked overtime, I guess, went to his girl house. He was on the road and he fell asleep, and he knocked us out from the second lane into the trees. I only know what happened because he came to the car and said, "Are y'all okay? I fell asleep and I hit you." That is the only reason, because it was just like bang, boom. It was like we didn't know what happened, and I broke, dislocated, fractured, and shattered my hip. I still don't have 100% mobility of that leg. Like I can cross my legs on the other side, but I can't actually bring it all the way up that way. But I'm good though, and it threw me off. Like I said, it happened May 24th, '88, and by August whatever, we were in Germany. But half the time I had a cane, and some of the shows had to start off on a bar stool. But once the adrenaline started flowing, I was up, but then I was soaking in the tub after the show. Yeah, so we good. So everybody in the car got injured a little bit. It was just one of them freak things. He fell asleep, and I think he hit his light button because we never even seen his lights. His lights wasn't on either, so it was night, and it was a dark stretch of the highway where there's no highway lights, above lights over. So we never saw him, and it is what it is. It's just one of those freak things. But survived it. I'm walking again. We good. Everybody involved is good. I'm blessed that I'm still, like I said, going on. I was 22. I will be 60 in February, and I'm still able to come out and rock for y'all. Like yo, so I just want to put that out there. And thanks to the fans for wanting to see us rock. Like still,
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
who
No,
made who
excellent.
made who made the beat for Strong
That's
Island?
Long
So
Island. Yeah.
so so Bill was in school. B Love was in school, and we were looking for a beat, and I knew of the Free to Pain beat, and we were at B's father in the garage with B's father, and I asked B's father, Mr. Taylor, does she have anything by Free to Pain? So he's playing the A side, which was the big hit, the Band of Gold, and I'm like, nah, that's not it. That's not it. He said it has to be. That's the big song. So it was like, yo, is there anything on the other side? He dropped the needle, dun 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 dun, and we called B Love at school, let him hear it over the phone, and then end up being another sample from another song on her album, which again was B Love's father's album. And Kurt did a lot of. Kurt is the one that took the beats and put them together
Was
like that.
the two
So
the two beats was the Band of Gold and the Easiest Way to Fall, I think.
right, no, yeah, no, that was a single. The two samples we sampled, the Easy Way to Fall and the Unhooked Generation. Those are the two
Yeah.
we
It
sampled.
came with, and again, it came with back and forth debates and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Being
I
Kurt was
think
going
within
back
a
and forth. Kurt wanted to use something totally different, and B wasn't having it. It was like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Uh,
felt, it was back then. It was a time that music played on the radio, and there was certain songs that played that was just, it was like it was changing hip hop. It was almost like listening to everything else that's playing on the radio, and then you hear Eric B as president. It's cutting fresh and new, and the MC is just so. Listening to songs like that, listening to Biz Markie songs coming up and stuff, making the beat in the studio. I remember we challenged each other like a lot, and it was challenging each other for perfection. You know what I mean? Like when
I
the
think
echoes for strong.
that was
Huh?
another track you sampled as well. The same piano riff as Bismarcky. Dun, 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 the Isaac Hayes thing.
Uh huh.
Yeah, you sound
Shout out to our boy
Yep.
Rodney
That
Norman,
was
Rod C. He's tuned in. That's my next door
you
neighbor. I
want me
told you
to?
who brought me to the party that had me and B end up rhyming.
yeah.
He was one of the guys. Him and Mike Walsh.
Yo, is that,
He just tuned in.
did you just say Little Rodney C?
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no, not
Oh,
Rodney C.
One of our friends.
His name was Rod C.
oh, okay,
That's the guy I was saying. That's my next door neighbor. Him and
okay,
the other guy brought me to that party that Bill and Kurt was doing, where me and Bill was exchanging rhymes. So he's Branch Ave Posse right next door. I had to give him.
yeah.
He been rocking with us since day one, so I had to give him a shout out when I saw him pop up.
No, wicked. Can I just, Andy Prince asked a question, right?
Yes, sir.
So how I read this question is that he thinks that I'm completely rubbish, right?
Oh wow.
Because are there any producers or rappers you would like to work with from the UK other than Blade? In other words, Blade is rubbish. Like, is there anyone else you'd like to work with?
I'll be
But,
honest with
but
you, man.
I guess the question is, do you know any other producers or rappers in the UK?
And right, no. But the thing is that, all it takes for us is to really, really love something and for you to have some sort of a decent platform for us to, be able to work together. But I mean, we everything we get, we listen to it and if we love something, I mean, we'll respond and, but the
I
answer to the question is probably yes, we would like to.
I don't remember, and I am pretty versed on some of the artists, and because you asked me, I cannot think of names right now, and I don't want to mess up nobody's name or their crew or nothing. But there are a few artists that I'm feeling out there. I just can't think of their names off the top of my head.
Jazzy from
Okay.
Soul to Soul.
Oh yes, shout out to yes.
Okay.
Shouts out to Jazzy. And
Can I make
like I
a
say,
can I
Isn't
make
there
a
a dude
request?
out there? Isn't there a dude out there? Storms.
Stormzy, Stormzy.
Yeah, Stormzy
Yeah,
and Chip and Wiley. Is that
yeah,
another?
yeah, yeah. I
Those are
mean,
names I know. Like I'm just saying that, so I know some
yeah,
names out there.
they're more the popular guys, the ones that kind of broke
Yeah,
into the mainstream a little bit and whatever. But
right,
there's a
right.
lot of underground rappers that would be more suited to what you guys
Well,
do.
no, I know, but I just wanted to. Those are the two that came to the top of my head. I just wanted to prove that I do know some of the artists out there. But a lot.
Okay.
There's some underground artists I heard, but I can't think of their names, and they're really dope. And I just can't think of their names to save my
Well,
life.
listen, guys. I because of what I do with the platform, I could introduce you to pretty much any of the rappers, right? And producers. I know most of them, and I can tell you who's dope, who's reliable, who's unreliable, who to work with, who not to work with. And I'm not afraid to say there are certain people that you shouldn't work with because you'll just be procrastinating forever. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, we not.
So
We about if we're gonna do something, we're gonna get in. We're gonna handle our
yeah,
business. If
I'll
it's
tell
one
you.
of those things, it don't get done right away. It
Right,
might not get done.
right. But I'll tell you, like I mentioned Andy Prince, and Andy Prince is in here, and he's one of those guys. When he said he's going to do something, he'll do it. You know what I
So
mean?
so
Mhm.
so when we get out there, um, and you got something I can listen to, let me hear some of the dope artists out there. I want to hear the dope artists out there. I want to know who they are.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you know what? I might even just set up a post saying if anybody wants to work with JVC Force, like hit them up, let them hear what you do, and then it's up to you to decide if you like them or not, or if they fit with what you fit with, and so on and so forth. You know what I
And
mean?
again, if any links that you can send me, so I can just be up on some of the dope artists out there. Just send me, you know how to reach me. Just send me the links. Like I checked you out, like I can just check them out, so I can
Okay,
hear them.
okay. So can I make a request?
Yes, sir.
It's your show.
Okay. So my
not
request.
sure, not sure you can have it, but you can make the request now. Just like that.
Okay. So my request is this: can you two just a cappella recite the first verse of Strong Island?
That can
Of
be
course,
done.
we can do that.
Go
Absolutely.
on. Start. Go ahead.
Listen to the situation, my son. I'm as serious as cancer. All fun is done. For the time, the beat will correspond with the rhymes too is valid. The best you will find.
Living in CI, who the hell am I? AJ Rock the Juice, I get fly, cool with the riffing guy, keep a handle, cause if you don't, I'll watch you down like a candle. Be loved.
Be love. Be love. I'm a top biller.
Dilla,
Part-time Ella.
Dilla,
Permanent chiller.
Dilla.
Stop. Wait. Hold on, A.
Oh,
Because
the
you're
echo.
echoing. You're echoing pretty bad. So you mind we take this from the top again.
Go for it.
Yep.
Listen, to the situation, my son. I'm as serious as cancer. All fun is done. For the time, the beat will correspond with the rhymes. The crew is valid. The best you will find.
Living in CI, who the hell am I? AJ Rock the juice, I get fly. Cool with the riffing guy, keep a handle. Cause if you don't, I wax you down like a candle.
Be love. I'm a top biller. Part-time ella. Permanent chiller. Son of Sam Killer. The horror and the villa. Unlike the rest, the best. I am a thriller.
Killer to shoot it, bite it, and distribute it. But either way, the two's unconstituted, styling and wild and constantly smiling. We'll keep trooping in a place called Strong
Strong
Island.
Island.
Yeah,
All
wicked.
right, there we
You
go,
know,
sir.
sorry, I had to get that in just for,
Oh
because I
no,
grew up
no! I
listening
mean,
to that.
that people want to know you know your words. I mean, that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
you know,
I,
and
I,
we
I
and
had
we
a
and
I had a hip hop show before, and if you were a singer that said you could sing, I made you sing on the show. And if you was a rapper, you did, and you was new, and we didn't know who you were, I made you rap. So I totally understand that. You want to see that. So you want a little piece of
and
that.
we
So.
do not and we do not and we do not perform over any vocals.
Oh no 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 we don't oh no 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 we've never been
Real
the
words
the
over
rap
here, real hip
yeah
hop over
we
here,
never
real
we
hip
never
hop
been a
over here.
group that performed over the vocal version of their records. We always had back then we had an instrumental album printed up with the ad libs in it, and we rhyme over that. We never you will never hear, because if we're rapping over our vocals, you might as well sit home and listen to satellite radio. You don't need to come see us. You come to see us perform our songs, and that's what you get when you come to a JVC show. We rock live. We don't go over our vocals. We don't go over vocal tracks. That's some people do that, but we never rock like that. We never
Nah,
rock
we're
like that
gonna
from
we
day
gonna
one.
keep it. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it 100. We're gonna keep it a buck straight hip hop. You know, there's gonna be some things on our show that you're gonna hear that you never heard before. There's gonna
Absolutely.
be some. There's gonna be some track work to like some of the songs that you knew to be popular, but you never heard this version before. So, like I say, we're not doing um anything, crazy and stuff. We want to keep it funky, 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 but safe, because again, we want to put on the best show we can put on for everybody and stuff. But we got a couple of surprises here and there for the real hip hop heads, the real JVC heads. If you followed Doing Damage album or you followed Force Field album, even going up to like big tracks, you know, we got a couple surprises in there for y'all. So
Yeah,
So,
we got a 10 song show. We're gonna rock out. We're gonna do our thing. Again, we got for this trip we got Mo Love from Ultramagnetic on the ones and twos for us. You know what I'm saying? So and then me and B on the stage, and you know what I'm saying, we're gonna give you the whole JVC experience, man. I mean, like, yo, for the people that love us and held us down for all this time and just never got a chance to see us, get your tickets for September 24th for 229. It's in the heart of the city. I heard it's a great venue. You know what I'm saying? We looking forward to hitting that stage. You know what I'm saying?
can
And get your tickets. Get your tickets. There's still tickets available. Get your tickets. That place should
I,
be
so I
I
sold
mean,
gotta
out.
I just
so
want
I
to say
gotta
that. Sorry, go ahead,
I
go ahead.
no I was gonna say I gotta request Blade. Give us a verse,
Yes,
man.
yes. That's what I said,
Like,
Blade.
Oh man.
don't just put us
You gotta give
on the
us an
spot,
acapella
man.
verse. Yeah.
We not only
Oh,
gave you the
flipping
verse,
hell.
we gave you your request.
Yeah, I don't know. Flipping hell. I don't even know my lyrics yet.
Then
So
somebody
DJ,
said, so
please
Andy
pick
said,
up your phone.
do your verse from the Unknowns. I don't. Is that a song? The Unknowns.
Yes,
Okay.
we love to hear it.
Sometimes it feels Sometimes it feels like the chips are down, nothing is going your way. Yeah, I've forgotten my lyrics already. There you go. I've done it. I'm done.
No.
Wait for the show.
No.
Nah, you know what? I tried to stay off of those things. I just prefer to wait. So what I was gonna say though, Andy, don't put me in that situation, bro. Me and you will fight. Uh, but anyway, um,
Yes, WI11 said, "Are those the Strong Island guys? You are. Look, I am AJ Rock. That is my partner in rhyme. B Love. We are the Almighty JVC Force, and we are coming to London on September 24th. 229. Get your ticket. So yes, we are the Strong Island guys. Yes.
yeah. So
Yes,
what I
yes,
was gonna
yes,
say is,
yes, yes.
like every show has to have a bit of drama. And it sounds to me like you got 10 tracks going on and you're not going to be rapping over your vocals. So just to piss everybody off, I'm going to do that.
Oh, you're
Hey.
gonna rhyme over the vocals?
Nah.
Yo, talking about drama, just quick. I don't want to get away from it. I did see a video where you went out to some festival or something for somebody who had passed, and it was like the drum stuff upstairs and the hip hop stuff, and then they
Yeah,
all came down, and you was upset. The hip hop people didn't perform. I thought that was whack, and I just wanted to give you a shout on that. We ain't got to talk about it if you don't want, but I did see that video, and that's
no,
kind of whack that they took over the hip hop floor.
yeah. I mean, you know what, bro? I think a lot of people are forgetting that everything is a bastard child of hip hop. Everything. Do you know what I mean? And they need to show that respect, regardless of whether these people are big names or not. If a room is assigned, then that room needs to be like kept to what it was supposed to be, rather than getting bulldozed out. Do you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I voiced my opinion, but respectfully, because the family asked for it to be taken down, I took it down because we're talking about a friend of ours dying, but it's his family that basically had to feel the blast of what I was saying, you know. So
Yeah.
respectfully, I took it down, but it doesn't change the way I feel. I feel like I traveled 18 hours around the country and back to be told I'm not getting on stage to do anything, and none of us are,
Yeah,
you know.
that's kind of whack, but I respect that you took it down, and rest in peace to the family and all that. I just wanted to give them a shout out, But
Yeah,
I saw that video.
yeah.
Any other questions that in the audience? Before we go anywhere, y'all got this is your time to ask us a question if you got a question for us.
So what I
Sure.
wanted to find out is how did you go about getting your record deal? Like, because obviously you were
It
young,
was
you know.
it was
We did what
shopping.
everybody else did. We took all our favorite records, looked at the back instead of the album, the address, and mailed them a tape. I mean,
Yeah, it was
literally.
shopping, literally like putting stamps on the envelopes and taking 10 and 15 envelopes to the post office and kind of waiting, following up, calling to find out if the demo was received. Um, all of that, man, like going down to labels, like following up and constantly hearing no. And, then like I say, one day, we get ready to go off to our respectful other levels of life, college. And you're sitting there one day and you get a call and it's like, hey, you know what? Like you guys dropped a demo down here like months ago and I like what I heard and I want to set up a meeting with you guys. So it kind of goes down like that. It's again, we came from a place to where they weren't just going to look at us and say, hey, you guys are making great hip hop and you're coming from Long Island, B-Boy Records, if we don't give them credit for anything, give them credits for having the guts of being the first South Bronx label to sign a group from Long Island. And
Yeah,
for whatever it's worth, and whatever anybody would say, hey, you know what, like they rip people off, they do this, they do that. They're the main reason why Strong Island was heard. And they're always going to be the mother label of Strong Island for good and bad. So we thank them for the opportunity that they gave us. A lot
Shady
of it.
Beat. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Shady Beats asked us a question, and we always answer this. I don't think we talked about it. So it says, "How have you kept your friendship so long? Um, you first hear your record being played mainstream. Where
they
did we?
haven't. They
So
hate each other.
those are two different
No,
questions. So the first one. So I moved to Central Islip, Long Island when I was 7, and B Love was 5. We lived blocks away from each other. So I've known this brother that long. And even if we never got into music, that would have been my brother. We boys. We separated and came back and all that other stuff and everything. But that's been my brother since he was 5 and I was 7. So, so it's like any other friendship, like your family member, whatever, you'll have fallouts, y'all might have arguments or disagreements, but that's my brother. He has held me down through everything, and I was trying to be there for him too. So that is so. It was before music. It wasn't. Some people get together because of music. It wasn't. It was bigger than music for us. It was. We were real. We were really like that before music, and then where did I first hear the record being played mainstream? That Red Alert broke the record on Kiss FM on New Year's Eve 1988 as 87 was turned to 88. He was the first person to play it, on a mainstream radio. He's the first one to play it, period. But that was like mainstream radio, on the dial, FM radio. So that I was actually so that's what we heard it first. So I don't know if B want to add to either one of those questions, but that's
Can
my
I add?
answer.
Can I add to one of those? Can I
Huh?
add to one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically, you were talking about your relationship and how you grew up together and everything. But if we want people to watch this podcast, really what we need to do is make up a whole bunch of lies and say how you all fell out, blah, blah, blah. You tried to set fire to his house. And now I know you're in a different room to where he is, but you lot need to have a little fight on screen
No,
now.
no, we ain't never had that. The closest thing to that was when the third album came out. Um, I left the group. Depending on who tells stories that day, I either got kicked out or I left. And so I wasn't there when the finishing of the album. The album it was never commercially released. But I really didn't have beef though. It wasn't. It was creative differences. I was a couple of years older. I had a daughter. I was the only one with a child. My life changed. Like I had different responsibilities and stuff. My way of thinking was a little bit different. They were still partying and everything. I couldn't be partying with them all the time. They were partying. So, we were at different places, but creative differences. But again, even through that, the brotherhood we had was strong enough to survive like what was controversial and what would have destroyed other people, and people are not speaking to each other because they're groups. It's bigger than music for us. And I think that's the most important thing for the longevity of it and for us to be able to do it like we do it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
So,
it's,
so
because
when so when did you guys decide, right, let's bring JVC back together, and what was the reason for it?
well, we've been talking about this for years. You just didn't,
It wasn't
we,
it wasn't ever actually, what I'm saying, a situation where like, JVC wasn't together. We were doing different things. I want to say AJ had his own things going on. He was working on his newspaper and his books and different things. I was more focused on had event company and stuff like that, providing audio around the place and stuff like that. So we had different things we were doing. At times in early hip hop, when it seems like I wasn't on the scene of hip hop, I was involved with a reggae artist that his name was Yankee B, and I did the remix for I did actually the version of War with him and K-Money Marley for G Street Records and stuff, and that was a pretty big, little reggae hit and stuff like that. So I was involved with other genres of music, but we were all just doing different things. But there would be times that we would speak about um, doing things, the possibility of a tour and what's going on now. We've spoke about this several times, previously. It's just I think both of us came to a point where we didn't really feel like the opportunities to do it at the time was really, really great. So, but now,
So
fortunate.
what's the reason you're doing it now?
Well, for us,
for,
fortunately,
for, for the love.
yeah, it's
And,
not only
and
for the love, but if you're gonna come all the way into like, let's say,
right.
Europe or something like that, somebody at least just has to respectfully be willing to give you the funding or bring you there. Like there was too many things going on. Hip hop was trying a lot of things in the U.S. here, and it was a lot of okay, you can come do the show if you make it to the show, which takes the liability out of everybody that's supposed to get you there and what's supposed to make you comfortable when you get there. We're just coming back to a time now that, somebody made an offer to us and they realized that, we're here back on the scene and, the offers are making sense,
and
Do
that's
you,
and
you
that's it. The dollars are making sense. So for
yeah,
anybody, for moral of the story, if you're a promoter and you're making a serious offer, we're there. And
yeah,
we've had offers, but they haven't been serious, and there was no contract and no advances and nothing, and that's why you ain't see us. That's the bottom line. This is the first time somebody came
yeah,
through.
like,
This did what they
is there,
said what they did, and
is
you
there
know.
is there any element of it where you kind of feel like, okay, we should have been in the UK 35 years ago, but we couldn't
Absolutely,
make
I
it
told you there
there?
was a few
yeah,
times we thought we were
yeah,
coming, and
No,
then
but I'm
something
saying, is there
happened.
any element of that where you're kind of like, right, we need to do something in the UK because we missed out?
Well, I actually finding out we signed. Urban Matters was the reason we're even overseas. The Netherlands, their annual festival, they booked us. Other people started hearing and started talking about booking us. I've always wanted to rock. First off, the UK is one of the regions that has shown JVC the most love. Germany and a few other places, but the UK has always had love for JVC, and I never really got a chance to take a stage and rock for everybody out there. So I'm looking forward to that show more than anything, just to be able to rock out in the UK in London. Like we haven't had a chance to do that, and they've showed us so much love. So yes, that's absolutely
Do you know
This
who I
is
would have loved? You know who I would have loved to seen on the tour with you guys?
cool.
who.
Sugar Bear.
Oh, that's cool. So two things. Shout out to my man Sugar Bear, and a lot of stuff we did. A lot of times was we were a self-contained unit, and and we did a lot of stuff ourselves. Like when we did Germany, we had our own tour in Germany. It wasn't the festival we're doing is a bunch of groups. It wasn't a lot of groups. Like a lot of times we didn't get on any really major tours like that. We were brought out and we rocked a lot of these places by ourselves. So we're used to that, but we're down to rock with anybody. The promoter. If the promoters write the contract up and they got the money, yo,
Hmm.
holla.
Basically,
We're there with
basically,
anybody.
basically, basically, if you paying, we playing.
Yep, there you go.
You know,
Yeah,
What Cooper said.
it's been a
What Cooper
lot.
said.
It's
If you don't got my dough, you won't see the bro. If you got our dough, you'll see us. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo.
yeah. How does it feel to be back, sort of in the Europe region now? You
it
know,
feels good.
what's the build up for you? Is there any anxiety, anything, or it's just like, yo, we're gonna go and kill this?
No, I mean, I think for every show that we've done, we got nervous before the show. But that's the feeling I realize that comes about when you're gonna go out and you're gonna go do your best and and we're looking forward. It's I think the fear is less than when we were young coming through Europe. Um, I think by now, after 37 years of people listening to your music and still, loving it and embracing it, I think you can go out now and, you can be confident. Our biggest goal is to go out and have a great, great time with the people, to try to stay as engaged with them as possible, just to give people access to us. Like we don't want to be a group that, hey, you turn around and you go buy 3 albums from us, or even if we were fortunate to be able to have made 5 or 6 and the people don't have access to you. People want to be able to take pictures with you, and this is a different time of social media and we're just as excited. So
And I think
we're
that I
just
think that's the difference. The social media, the internet, like
yeah, we're
to
looking
bring what
forward
we
to
to bring what we were doing then to now. It's amazing.
yeah, we're looking forward to for every single person that can stand online, or every single person, even the people that like have a look in their eye and they're not courageous enough to come up and take pictures with us, and we're looking to embrace everybody. Just looking to go out there, and if there's 700 people at the festival, we have to sign 700 autographs. We're looking to do it, man. I mean, 700 pictures, 700, no matter how long it takes, you know what I mean?
And we
Take
will have
pictures with love.
merch. We will have merch, t-shirts, and the whole nine. So
We coming with
get
the
your.
love.
We coming with all that. So for all those that love JVC and want to leave with a piece of JVC, we'll have all of that kind of stuff there too.
Mhm.
Again, shout out to Mark Davis who made this happen, who actually put this together.
Shout out
Actually,
Mark and Mark
he actually set up the
and Mo
interview with you.
Love.
Even though we were talking about it, he set that up. So I want to give him his props.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't happen. So he went to the Urban Matters Festival with another group, I think Ultramagnetic or
It was
something. And
electromagnetic.
the owner, the guy who runs it, was like, who I would love to get over here? Well, JVC Force. And he was like, oh, for real? I know one of them guys. And he called B. And literally that's what happened last year. And that led up to this actually happened. So shout out to him for holding us down and bringing it, making it happen. Shout out to Mo Love, who's going to go on the road with. And shout to everybody who's involved. I don't remember Indigenous, I think it's a clothing company, and the guy who's doing our merchandising, and um, um,
Is it
AJ.
Brent? Is it Brent who's doing the merchandising?
Brent, and he's on too.
Wicked.
Sorry, I'm glad you said it. 'Cause I saw his
You
name
need to
twice.
talk about you
Brent,
selling some
Brent,
merch for me as well.
Brent is doing our merch. Shout out to him. He'll have the t-shirts and everything out there. And AJ, I forget what his screen name is. He actually did the animated video
Yeah, that's
flyer where he made.
AJ Sayer.
Yes,
So
shout out
that
to
was
him.
me. That was
Where
me that
he
hooked him up with Mark.
right who made us come to life, like our album cover come to life through AI. That was dope. So
Yeah,
shout out to everybody out there that's real. We got people leaving. There's some people coming from the States coming over there just to fly over,
yeah.
to rock
So,
out. Yeah.
Yeah, big shouts out to our whole Central Islip crew that's gonna be flying out to join us out there in
that's
the
it.
Netherlands.
That's that's dope.
Um,
Let me ask you something. So when you did the first album, right, and then it kind of like for a lot of the fans, they were kind of stuck on Strong Island, and they didn't look beyond that because part of the problem was that we didn't get to hear beyond that because the promotion and whatever wasn't really the same as it was for Strong Island. Things were different. There was that connection with all of us suddenly hearing, like you said, on Rebel Without a Pause, Chuck D saying Strong Island, where you never been, I'm in, whatever, right? Um,
Strong Island, where I got a wildin'. Yeah.
yeah, where I got on Wilding, that's it. So I forgot the lyric for a while, but where I got on Wilding. So because of that, and then all of a sudden you drop that, and everyone knows Strong Island in a different way. But then after the first album, it went a little bit quiet, and then you dropped the next album, I believe, on Warlock Records.
Yes. And even then we did it was never supposed to be a record. It was supposed to be the intro for a show, intro to dance. And that was coming out to start off shows to remind everybody, yeah, we them dudes that did Strong Island. Because it was like a 2 year gap. Like we was like a year between labels. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a 88 to 90. So we wanted to remind everybody that, that love Strong Island. We them dudes that did Strong Island. And the label liked it and they actually started the album off with it. But that was never supposed to be a song. That was the show. That was how we started shows off with to remind people it was us.
I'm curious, right? When Public Enemy were massive, and they were traveling over the world and doing whatever, why were you not on that tour? I mean, could that not have been arranged? Because that would
well,
have
there
been
was
like,
Politics and
no,
stuff behind it, it wasn't, Russ.
there
Russ, it
was
was,
different there
yeah.
was different situations that was playing out. At the time, I believe our label was going through a debate with another label over, I guess, Boogie Down Productions moving over to where they were going to move to. I think that, maybe within business and politics, some folks felt a certain way, or they felt like if you give someone access to us, they'll try to steal us too. So they kind of our label kind of tried to strong arm us. There were opportunities that were made for us to go on some of the biggest tours at the time, like, the Fresh Fest and different things out of New York. Not to do the whole entire tour, but to do a certain region,
Spot dates, some spot dates,
for
right?
4 to 5 dates. But our label was going through, some challenges with, our label was going through some challenges with other labels. So, at times they didn't let us go, or they made the terms so unreasonable that it
Right.
just couldn't be done or didn't make sense to be done.
Like for
Um,
instance, Russell Simmons made an offer to B Boy, and B Boy asked for some astronomical response, and it just was unreasonable. Like you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So had that happened, who knows? Then we would have been
it
on
was
those
like, yeah,
things
it
too.
was,
So you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
it
so
was
do
like
you
one of those
reckon,
things. Like it was
so
one of
so
those
do you
things.
reckon sorry, so do you reckon that B-Boy ruined opportunities for you?
Of course,
they,
of
they
course,
created they first off they created opportunities, and then yes, they
and they
ruined
messed up
opportunities,
opportunities. And
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 then
in fact, and they didn't, and they there was a lot that B-Boy Records didn't do for us. In the beginning, we never knew that we wouldn't have a video. They promised us a video.
so
They
here's so
promised.
here's a
They prom.
contract
Hold on,
thing.
hold on, hold on,
Yeah.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. They promised that, of course, like every other record label does. Hey, at a point of time, you can open the books up. You can see what you sold. You deserve a check based on your sales. we knew our record was playing all over the place and stuff, but when it came royalty time now, all of a sudden, the books couldn't be open. Things weren't legit no more. And I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of new artists make because you're anxious and all you hear is, hey, I want to get on the radio, but you don't take care of your business. But on the same note of not taking care of your business in the beginning, you're giving and handing somebody over your best material.
I was
Some of the
about to
material,
say,
right, some of the
right,
material you need.
your hungriest work is when you start.
Right,
And
right,
that's the one that's generally one that pops off and everyone knows. And after that,
right,
So
right.
here's a contract thing. So the contract wording in the contract was that they had to shoot a video. They actually shot a video for doing damage in the Central Islip High School. They didn't release the video. They didn't pay the people who made the video, but they fulfilled the contract obligation. It said they had to shoot a video. They did that. Like that's one of them little contract things that small print that you don't understand and didn't read that it didn't mean they had to put the video out or but they shot a video. There was a video shot for doing damage.
And then the footage went away.
Yeah, well, they didn't pay the people. They didn't even pay the people who shot it. So eventually, I wish I knew what I knew now. I would have got in touch with them people and I would have made them a deal and tried to see if we can get that footage. But it probably doesn't exist anymore. But yeah. So
where were you more comfortable? Where did you feel more at home? At B-Boy or a Warlock?
B-Boy allowed us to do. It was kind of like y'all go ahead and do it, and we brought back the music. Warlock Warlock tried to change us and mold us and get us into hip house and other directions that they were a little more hands on. And then the third situation, Big Beat, they were all hands on. So it was just like trying to pick producers and stuff. Like we were a self contained unit, and we worked good that way. And so we had the most freedom at B Boy.
I think B-Boy was the best because ultimately we had the creative control and we were working in a studio that we were familiar with in Long Island. We felt like we were at home. We felt like we were in our environment. But I think that some of the things that kind of excited me was getting to go to some of the studios, like around the Big Beat days, going to like the studios in the city and stuff like that, and
Now, all the other rappers
recording
were
them.
going too. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you would get less done compared to if we were in Long Island, but we have more exposure to the game. Like, you know what I mean? Nothing beats the feeling like on a Friday night when like you're walking past maybe two established rappers in the lobby and you're like, hey, JVC Force is coming and they got a session down here tonight. You feel like you're a part of the big game, and I think it's just been like kind of like an experience. But I think if I speak for the group itself, based on the way that we were structured as a group growing up, like we were always in the same place together, or when we were rehearsing, we were always in the same apartment together, or whether we was at my house, we were at the house together, and we stayed tightly as a crew, and not just a crew of just us three, but the friends around us, the Branch Ave posse, the people that we grew up with, we all stayed closely together. So we, you know, I like it when we had our independence, man. But I think the whole entire journey, man, I think it just shows you different things. I don't think that I'm able to appreciate one thing pretty much maybe like over the other. Everything's been a learning experience.
You know,
Absolutely.
I done an interview with Sugar Bear, and we spoke about Don't Scandalize Mine, and his story is very similar to yours, where you
Hmm.
know he was young, made the mistake, just wanted to put the record
Yeah,
out, and that's all the interest was. And like we said, most of the time when we're young and we're enthusiastic and hungry, we make the best music we ever make, right? And
yeah.
it's just customary. It might take another 20 years before you get another lucky one, right? Whatever it is. However,
Hmm.
your story is very similar to his. Now,
Hmm.
I don't remember if I asked him this, but I'm going to ask you this. if there was anything you could do different, yeah, what would you do different now? Because you've, I mean, are you making any publishing money off of it? Are you seeing anything come from it, or do you feel like you've been screwed for the rest of your life? Can you get your publishing back? All them kind of things. What would you do different?
It definitely would have paid attention more to the publishing end of things and, the fairness of the deals. When we're talking about contracts and things of that nature, I'm on the left of me here. There's every contract that we had ever done, and the wording in contracts, they just continuously say the same thing over and over until you get around to page 50. I would have definitely paid more attention to, my publishing or the shares of things I'll be getting, you know what I mean? And you know, I'd have definitely probably also paid attention to getting out of situations maybe faster when people didn't honor what they said. Or maybe even paying attention to the type of label that maybe we were going to sign to. Because a lot of people told us in the early days, you guys signed to B-Boy Records for your hit song Strong Island, but you could have signed to anybody at that time with that song. But it's different when you're in the situation and you're trying to come out, but no one's really paying you attention. Everybody always says, "Yeah, you could have did this after the fact,"
Okay,
but we were
so
the ones, but we were the
here's what
ones
you
in the
could have done.
situation.
Right. So here's
Mhm.
what you could have done. You could have spoken to Chuck D and said, "Yo, take us to Def Jam."
Well, at the time, right, we didn't have the great relationship with Chuck D like that. Um, when Chuck D and them came out, they were out a couple of years, probably about a year or so before we had come out. We did not meet Chuck D and Flavor and them. I didn't really actually meet them until probably around a year after we came out. And by that time, we was already into the B-boy deal. We were kind of getting ready to cross over into the Warlock Idlers deal, and you know, but we didn't have, as JVC Force, I don't believe we didn't have the relationships at that time in our early days with everybody that we probably could have had them with. We weren't a group that was on a lot of bills with different people. Like AJ spoke about when we went to do shows and things like that, we were pretty much on our own bill. So we're a self-contained group. We were invited to a couple of things where there was some big name rappers that was there and they were known and stuff like that. But for the most part, we were self-contained commodity. We did our own shows. Even when we went to Germany, Kurt came out and he DJ'd in the club for about an hour before we even came out on stage or whatever went on. There was no real entertainment besides us, and that's the way it was structured. So, you know, then a lot of times, like I said, we were pretty much doing our own thing, so we weren't constantly outside like that. So, we didn't get to meet a lot of people until the years went on.
Do you feel like any of the other artists that were making noise on the street level at the time ever saw you as some kind of a threat and made things possibly difficult, or maybe they had any kind of issues with B-boy where there was barriers put up, anything like that? Because the reason I'm asking that is because after doing a record like Strong Island, I mean, you should have been a worldwide name. Everybody should have known. Everybody,
Hmm.
you know.
No, it's a bunch of different situations. One, not knowing the business, getting into it. Again, being in Long Island and not the city, so not having those relationships with the other artists and the other promoters and stuff like that. It was just a bunch of different things, and I can't put my finger on any of it. As far as like were there any artists like that? I mean, competition was always stiff. Like everybody was competitive. I don't know if anybody personally had it out for us and was trying to hold us down like that, but everybody was competitive. I mean, you know, people just was like, yo, you trying to prove you to, number one or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot of competition. But it just is what it is. I mean, I could go back and do the what if, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Ain't gonna do no good right now. We getting this second resurgence right now, and we want to max out on that. Wherever this is taking us, whatever doors this opens, whatever countries this brings us to, whatever this turns into new music, documentaries, books, whatever, we want to ride this all out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's where our focus is, not on kind of why things didn't happen or why we would have liked this to happen. It is what it is. I learned a lot, and trust me, I'm not that 22-year-old who don't know business, and I understand business a lot better. I understand contracts a lot better. I understand, you understand what I'm saying? So, and now with the internet and social media, you can maximize and monetize things on a whole nother level that you couldn't back then as well too. So
But
we're
that's
trying
what I
to
was.
take this, we want to
That,
take this resurgence, whatever this resurgence is, that the fans want to see us again, we want to ride this till the wheels fall off. And
right. So
that's
that's the reason why I was asking that, basically, because are you in a position to get back your rights and everything so that you can basically 100% monetize everything?
so all that stuff is being looked into, and that's all I can speak on right now. Like everything is being looked into. Everything, there's nothing off the table. All that's being looked into.
Okay.
I don't have specific answers and details to give you at this point.
Okay. And you said like it was really competitive out there and everything. Yeah. And when you were 22, it was competitive. All the other artists, blah blah blah. Right. So I'm saying I'm 58. You're about 60,
I'm
and
59. I'll be 60 in
59.
February. Yeah.
Right. So 60 in February, and I'm 58, and I'm still saying, isn't it crazy how we're still competitive? And I want to battle you on the night.
That's cool. I like my I'm I have a different
I'm joking, by
appreciation.
the way.
No, I have a different appreciation for things at this point. And I think, like we let the music speak for itself. We just let, we get out there and we do what we
It's
do,
on.
and that's that. But
Yeah.
but as far as like getting on a one on one, like I'm not doing all that at
Nah,
60.
bro. Nah, bro. I'm joking anyway. Like
I
I'm
know
gonna
you
tell
are, but I'm
you,
just when you say that, other people are like, "Oh, I love to see that." No, this ain't gonna be an Ali Frazier reunion or something like that. We're not doing
hey,
all
you
that.
know what? If it sells tickets, let's do it.
Hey, that's a whole nother story. But right now, I ain't hearing about no tickets yet. So we can have that conversation later. Right now, it's about rocking this show. JVC coming out on the 24th after doing the Urban Matters on the 20th, and just giving y'all, showing y'all we still got it. We can still rock. We gonna do what we do. It's gonna be the JVC Force experience. Y'all gonna enjoy it. Thank you for all y'all. The London has held JVC for us down like in some kind of special way for decades. It's like even though we've never been there,
How are you seeing that?
the love, we felt it over the pond, as they say. We felt it over here. So to get out on that stage for the first time, to rock out there for the first time. Oh, we just loving it. We going all out. We gonna rock the house.
Yo, big shouts out to Amazing A. Big shouts out Archie on the
Yes.
check-in, man. Archie, what
Oh,
up?
amazing. Hey, what's up? Another artist who I said this recently in Long Island. There was a battle, a MC competition in Central Islip, and he's a couple of years older, and he won.
Oh,
And
wow.
what he had this fast rhyme and this fast rhyme thing that he used to do, and it was amazing. And we were all walking back across down to our side of town, like imitating him in the whole nine. Like as a youngster in high school, well, junior high school, because I left after ninth grade to come back to Mount Vernon. So I was probably like in eighth grade or ninth grade. To see him, it made me want to pick up my skills on another level. Like it was that local dude who inspired me. So shout out. I always say this. I said this, at his event, and I say it publicly. Amazing A is one of the MCs that inspired me. Local dude that was nice. That was before like labels was really giving out deals that should have definitely had a deal, and y'all should all know his name. That dude.
Yeah. And it wasn't fast rapping. We used to call it speed rapping.
Yes, 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 yes.
So
Oh,
yeah, so
he
yeah.
was he used to kill that. Like, oh
He
my
was one of the
god.
nicest, the nicest. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But big shouts out to Amazing A, and he his name is Archie Snowden. He has a documentary that's going to be coming soon on
On
the
the
history
underground.
of Long Island.
Yeah, the Long Island underground scene, and he gives you the history. A lot of, you know how like there's the Cold Crush and all those people before recorded records. He's giving you he's showing you all those people in Long Island that you never maybe made records. They were before all of us who made records. They were the the ones that the founders and the ones that made it happen in Long Island before, and they don't really get recognized. And a lot of them are in this, and we're in the documentary too. A lot of them are in this documentary. So when it comes out, of course, I'll be sharing it everywhere. Everybody needs to go support that.
You mentioned documentary. Is there going to be a strictly JVC documentary book, anything of that nature?
But when I say everything's on the table, like all of that's being talked about. Like you know what I'm saying? Like right
Yeah.
now, it's about doing these two shows and rocking out. Like yo, and then everything else, we're riding this to the wheels fall off. Whether it's documentaries, books, whether it's new music, whether it's whatever, we're rocking. Nothing's off the table. Like we're riding this till the wheels fall off. But we will have somebody with us shooting footage at these two shows. Who knows where that footage will end up doing? But there will be footage, and I probably will be doing kind of like video journaling, like the process as we're
Yeah,
going through, and
yeah.
we just into I'll probably be doing little videos all along the way just to interact with the fans or something on IG or
You could
something.
start every conversation with "Who the hell am I?" You know what I mean?
That's
Everyone
funny.
knows the line, so I mean that could be your catchphrase. Who the hell
Yes,
am
yes, yes.
Yeah.
B3 WIS3, when it was saying where was the first time we heard the song, and he said, was it Video Music Box? So we didn't actually have a video. The video that shows on Video Music Box, we did a public access show that Red Alert was hosting, and they videoed it, and that is the video that goes around with Strong Island with us dancing with the two dance was rocking the two dancers behind us. So we didn't have an official video. So Ralph McDaniels, that's my dude. He just had us do the video music box experience August 25th from the 12,000 plus people. We rocked it on Long Island. Um, but that wasn't the first time we heard it, but he to this day is still playing that video. So shout out to Ralph McDaniels and Video Music Box for holding us and so many others down. Yo, gotta give him his props.
And it was a absolute blessing and a pleasure to take the same stage right before the legendary God MC
Rock,
Rakim.
rock him. Oh my God. When we
That was a
got off
blessing. That was a
stage.
definite blessing. Blessing, blessing, blessing. Thank
We
you,
got
Ralph.
off stage, and my daughter was in the press area. I got her in the press area so she could take pictures. I was right next to my daughter, filming and taking pictures of Rakim like a fan, right in front of the stage when he performed. After just getting off the stage,
That was
like
recently, right? That was recently,
August 25th.
right? Okay.
August
Yeah.
25th was us, Drez from Black Sheep,
Hmm.
Rakim, and then some R&B, Renee from Jeanne, Fonda Ray, Over Like a Fat Rat,
Jeff
other people,
Red.
my Jeff Red, my brother Jeff Red, he lives in Mount Vernon, and a couple other groups, Horace Brown, I think, and a couple other groups. But it was a great outdoor event, outdoor in the park event.
And
And
also, it was a definite privilege for JVC to be introduced on stage that night by T Money from the original concept.
right, who was also
Thank you,
Yo
brother.
Mailman on
Thank you.
MTV Raps, and he also comes from that WBAU family and all that. He called me and asked, yo, he rocked. He talk about nerves, so there was a little bit nerves, and then he rocked that crowd. Gave us a dope intro, and then when I came out and said it's Strong Island in the house, and the crowd went kind of crazy. If I had any nerves, it was gone. Like because you got to understand this is our first show in Long Island since Stony Brook University in 1988. This is also our first show on a stage together since maybe 92. So we've done things, but not on a stage together. So, there's that whole, you got to prove something, and you got that whole, like, I'm honest, yo, I'm a little older, and you know what I'm saying? We got to, so, but I was glad to have that to step on stage first. So when we hit the Netherlands, it's not our first. We got that under our belt now to build on for the Netherlands, and then the Netherlands to build on for London. You know what I'm saying? So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And while you're talking, I'm just thinking, right, I'm going to have to get some oil so that I can put oil on my knees so I can jump around a little bit. You know what I mean?
He said some oil on his knees. That's funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
it feels that way. But yo, I hear you mentioning a whole bunch of names and everything. So B, you are friends with Craig Mack, right?
Oh, both of
Yes,
us.
yes.
Right, or were, right? So
Yeah.
tell us about that relationship.
The relationship with Craig Mack started. He was pretty much younger than I was, and he used to come over to my house just about every day. Craig was one of those folks that he was very, very hungry for hip hop also. Um, he pretty much popped up on anybody that had some sort of a studio or any kind of music situation going on. Stuff like he popped up at my house for so many years. Finally, saying he was coming in and he was in part of the sessions that we were doing when he was recording Project Funk the World. He would call me like every single day and be like, "Are you coming to the studio tonight?" And big shouts out to another guy I went to high school with that did a lot of production on Project Funk the World, Lenny Ace Morrow. Um, they would be in the studio. That Project Funk the World, like I say, knowing Craig, um, that album went on. I was sitting. Big shouts out to Diamond J from Diamond the artist, they call him now, from Rock the Bells Radio. Um, I was sitting present with Craig Mack when he recorded Get Retarded.
MC
He
Easy
was
and Troop.
he was MC Easy, and it was MC Easy and Troop. Yep, I was there when they came up with the concept of zoom, 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 zoom. So Craig's always been a friend. He's always looked at me also as someone who supported him music wise. There was a lot of things that he would ask of me, and I would give it to him. That's how the Project Funk the World introduction, that sample was Deja Vu from our JVC Force song. Um, Deja Vu. That was the introduction of Project Funk the World. But me and Craig, like I said, we were just friends. We were friends for a long, long, long time, and I've seen him going through some of the worst of times, and I've seen him when things got really, really good for him. So I mean, rest in peace. Sort of at times hard for me to speak about him 100% because again, and just like AJ, like I'm sure, he's had his different moments with Craig and things like that. But again, my parents and everyone knew Craig.
Mine too. My mother
We
and my
had a
sister.
Yeah, he was a very impersonable person on people. He wasn't known to go away when he wanted something, and but he's again, I would say he's one of the hardest working artists that I ever seen. And you know, even though he passed away, even though he's gone and stuff like that, I credit him to be probably one of the best freestylers that came up with us around that time too, because that's a side of him I want to say that nobody really ever knew. His ability to freestyle, he was really, really nice. But yeah, had a really, really great relationship with him. Had a good relationship with just about most of the MCs that we kind of came up with. I noticed earlier in the conversation you said, when we made our songs, were there any tensions between other rappers and things like that? I wouldn't say that there was ever tensions between us, because I used
Competition.
to, right. But when I said earlier in the conversation also that coming up with the song Strong Island, we had to come up with an anthem because the competition in Long Island was getting so heavy, heavy. Um, we knew that when we put Strong Island out, that it felt like something different. And really, when that record came out, it was out and Red Alert broke it on New Year's Eve, but it still took a couple of months to start playing on the radio. It wasn't until close to like around when Doing Damage came out as an album, and Even though Strong Island was going to be our signature single, the album now was like shedding off singles and DJs and playing the different singles that they like and our music just playing all over the place. That's when things really, really started picking up. And at that point in time of like putting out Strong Island and then putting out the Doing Damage album, we were very satisfied with the tracks that we made for Doing Damage. We knew at least at the end of the day when it was said and done that we would be around, that we would have like some sort of mark and be known in hip hop. The challenge now came with, like you said earlier, Blade, how do we follow this album? How the hell do we follow this? How do you follow a track like Strong Island? The months and months and months of digging for another beat that was, you know what I mean? And that's where it really, really gets rough. And I think the chemistry that no one ever really understands that you have to find again is, like I said, you're writing all of these songs early in your life. So your first album has a lot of hits on it. When you come back on your sophomore attempt and you have to write better songs than the ones that you lived with for your freshman album, that's the challenge now. What do I do? How do I find a beat that's hotter than this? How do I find a beat that's hotter than that? Is this going to be a single? Is this written to be a great single? How will the world embrace it? I think that's where the challenge comes in. And I'd like to give, as you say, someone in this podcast said, like we kind of sounded like EPMD on a single, but I'd like to give EPMD a lot of credit because Eric is definitely one of the high talents in rap music. I understand as an artist who loves hip hop passionately, who ate, dreamt, shit it, slept it. I understand what the challenge is to come back year after year for 5 straight albums and make gold albums because the tracks that you're making, they're great. So I want to give a big shout out to EPMD because again, when it comes to the behalf of Long Island, they're a group that they came out like Public Enemy. They came out and I think they did 5 singles in a row gold. And that was not easy. I felt the pressure as the main writer for the group, JVC. I felt pressure after the middle of the sophomore attempt. It was like, I got to keep writing. And not only do I can write about anything, but there's so many rappers coming out right now, putting out good stuff. The subject matter is going away. So, that's why I say, I knew that we would have something to present to the world. And some people, once they heard the Force Field album, I've seen some comments where some people was like, you know what, the Force Field album, in their opinion, is just as good as the Doing Damage album was. Once we started hearing those comments, and then when we came with the big tracks, which obviously at that time, when we made big tracks, the growth of the group was noticeable, and the genres and the music that we were willing to, okay, we're gonna mix the Muppets with the reggae and Tina Turner's in there and that and all of the way we're gonna change up the music style. We had definitely grew, and we didn't put out that third album, but definitely by the time we came in, I think we had something that was gonna solidify us in the game in regards to music.
No doubt. Shout to Shady Beats from Scotland. He said, "Tell Blade I said thank you for having you guys on this show."
By the
Thank
way,
you, thank you,
Shady,
Blade, for having us.
well, listen, it's something that I've been trying to do for a while now. So,
Yeah,
you know,
we've been talking about this beef for the last several months. We've been going back and forth, and
yeah,
then when it got close to the other show, it was all about getting ready for that show. So
yeah,
I'm glad, and then I guess Mark just connected it all together. So
yeah.
yeah,
Big up
this is
my
something.
David.
Yeah, this is something we talked about. I told you about this months ago, and you was like, just remind you. So, but now
Yeah,
we're here to promote the show. Like I said, we are coming. JVC Force is coming first to the Netherlands for the Urban Matters Festival
What
on the
date is that?
20th. That's the 20th and the 21st, and then we leave and go straight to London. We'll be out there a couple of days, and then we're performing at 229 on what's that, Wednesday the 24th. I believe. Yeah. So, yeah, man, you get a chance to check out. If you're in either one of them areas, make sure you get your ticket. If you're on 229, yo, they still have tickets. That place need to be sold out. Yo, buy your ticket. Make sure you get it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. JVC Force is finally coming to the UK, and they coming to do their thing, and we're coming to tear the show up. And yo,
And
it's gonna it's gonna
Shady
be
Shady
yeah.
Beats says that she's a lady.
I'm sorry. Did I
Yeah,
say
you
dude?
did. Yeah, you
My
did.
my bad.
So
My
big
But
up,
bad,
you know,
big
you
up,
know
Shady.
what?
big up, big up,
Big
sweetheart.
up
We
my
coming out
sister.
there.
Yes,
We coming to
yes.
But
London.
you
We
know what?
coming to
She,
London.
but you know what? She's more man than most of the men I know.
Hey, she's still
Hey,
a lady.
Not
She's still a lady.
sexually, just
Big up,
no,
just
no, no,
sweetheart.
no, no. I got you. I got you mentality
yeah.
wise. But oh, my bad, because I didn't even see the avatar. But yo, I appreciate that. But yeah, we've been talking back and forth. Because I've been trying to answer people's comments, like when you see me looking down, because instead of keep interrupting, I've been commenting back to people.
Yeah,
And there
So
Rob
was me
Rochelle.
yes.
thinking, there was
Rob
me
Rochelle
thinking you're
says he bought a
ordering
ticket.
more takeaways. So yeah, another pizza, another pizza.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good shout out. Big shout out, Rob Rochelle. Rob Rochelle said he bought a ticket months ago. So big
Yes,
ups to
yes,
him.
I saw that name. I didn't get a chance to say what's up.
Yeah,
Yes.
Big
So
guys.
shouts out
get
to
your
him coming in with
get your
all of the
ticket.
nice
If you got your
options.
ticket, tell a friend to tell a friend. JVC is coming to town. And Blade will also be on the stage. So all y'all that love Blade, come see Blade. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
Look,
sir.
we're all going to be selling merchandise on the day and everything. Is
Oh
that the
yes.
shirt you're going to be selling?
No, this was actually ironically, this was a limited edition shirt that I created for the show we just did. We came there thick. We were like 12, 15 deep. And I wanted us to have it on stage and all our people. My daughter was there. Um, Love, his sister, and then was there. And then we all had the shirt on. And then people liked it. So there's a couple of dozen that we just sold, and people are still trying to get copies. Unfortunately, so the last copies I got, people are, you know, um, paying for them, and then I mail them out. But I'm not doing overseas postage. We
Not
will
anymore.
have
It's
four. We
impossible.
will have because you're going to spend more on the postage than you will on the shirt. We
Yeah.
will have four different designs in the UK and in the Netherlands. So, but this was just some limited edition I did for us. So we had something to rock. We just wanted to come out represent as we was on the stage and everything and our
Okay.
people. So,
Yeah.
So
We'll
so
have glossies.
in
Glossies,
huh?
terms
come get your wax.
Oh yeah.
in terms of price for the merch, just so people know what kind of money to bring in case, because some of the people are old school, they still carry money, you know.
I don't see that's a Brent question. Brent is actually handling our merchandising. We approved the designs and everything. He's printing them all up and he's going to be rocking the table. So I have no idea. I'm sure they'll be reasonable, but whatever t-shirts is
Yeah,
going
we're
for,
not.
whatever
Yeah, we're not
t-shirts.
into. Yeah, whatever the fair price is out there. We're not 100% versed at that. But on the same note, we're
Well,
very,
yeah, we not we just that's Brent's thing.
we're very
We got to deal
particular
with
not
Brent.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're very particular and mindful not to make sure that what I'm saying, our fan base is not overcharged unfairly at all. Because again,
Right.
these are the same folks that has brought our records through the course of years and stuff. So we still want to make sure everybody goes home with something that's, quality wise great, but we also want to make sure that, we're more than fair about the price. Like we're not going to gouge anybody for an extra couple of dollars. We want to make
Like
sure
this,
our fans have a great experience and that they're able to rep.
like these shirts when I sold to people in the States and people in Long Island, whoever, they were only $25 plus $5 for postage if you wanted to mail to you. So like we're not trying to, sell shirts for $50 or $100 or I'd rather hit 100 people for 25 than hit 25 people for 100. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, for
Yeah, yeah.
real.
So,
It's it's it's
for anybody who's coming down to the show to buy merchandise, I would suggest you buy JVC merchandise because my aim is to rob everybody. So I'm going to charge
okay.
you £200 for a shirt.
Okay. Well,
I'm only joking.
okay, I was gonna say I ain't got nothing to do with that, but JVC merch will be available. We'll have four different T-shirt designs. I know we might have. We're working on making sure that there's vinyl there, and we'll be autographing it, and then we'll have promo pictures. We'll be autographing and some other stuff. I'm sure I may have a couple of copies of my book if I can put in my suitcase, just a few. Um, but I do have a book called Look at Hip Hop in the 914. You can buy it on Amazon. What I suggest you do is go get my book on Amazon, bring to the show, and I will autograph it. That I'm not trooping over with a box of books. It's just I ain't doing it. So I advise everybody who wants to read about some good hip hop, get it on Amazon and bring it, and I will autograph it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before, I mean, look, we've spoken a lot about pretty much, I guess, a wide range of things, and in particular about this show that's coming up and everything. But you know what? I can't leave the situation without just saying thank you for the records that you made, and in particular for Strong Island. Like, as much as I hated you at the time because you used the same sample that I was using, we were rehearsing to it. We were getting ready to drop a record, and then all of a sudden you come with it. You know what I
I
mean?
think the key, I think the key to it, this is what the key to it is, right? And I want to say, because I've heard a couple of different people say this scenario to me, that we were going to use the record and stuff like that. It's the combination that makes the record. It's not just the beat, but it's the sample of the riff that goes on top of it. I think the simple chemistry of using two of the same artist has created, a situation that, so I mean, and I'm saying that to say someone could have used the Strong Island beat, because all through the course of the years, people has used the Strong Island beat for different songs that they've put
They
out.
don't work the
On
same.
different
But
elements
it,
of it, yeah.
but without the horn and the thought of using two Frida Paynes and
Yeah,
using her, it wasn't. I don't know that it would ever have hit the same. And I fairly
And
say that
and,
because
and our chemistry vocally,
not to say
I think
not to
that
say not to say it wouldn't have been not to say it wouldn't have been a great record that someone else put out. Because I've heard a lot of people use the beat for Strong Island, and I've been like, you know what? They did a pretty nice job. Like, I like that, but it's just
yeah.
something
it's
about the
not the
original
same. There's
song
something about
that
what you did that was
hits.
just,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's, you know what, I could say the same for, my early records. Like,
Right.
but if anything, the fact that I wasn't able to then use that beat probably set me on the path to what I use, which basically now has carved my name in
Right.
history of UK hip hop and hip hop in general.
Right.
And
Right. When
it might not have worked with the beat
yeah.
that I was,
I mean, we had the same thing. We were going to use. We recorded a song. We got our own thing, but then Heavy D had a big single that came out first off the same beat, and we didn't put ours. Didn't officially come out on the album. Like there's copies of it lingering around somewhere, but um, he released his first. Great minds think alike. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, a lot of people are sitting at home. There's other beats that I was thought about and somebody else used, or so great minds think alike. You know what I'm saying? Just like a lot of people, a lot of creative people got a lot of the same ideas on how to
yeah.
flip a song. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
at the time, I wasn't a producer at the time. I knew
Yeah.
well, I was already producing demos, but for that particular thing, I was more
Yeah.
the MC that was just going, bro. You know what it's like. You got five DJs in a
Oh
group,
yeah.
one rapper. You go there, everyone's jumping on the turntables to cut a couple of records out, and cut the breaks, and that's
Yeah.
basically what it was. It was a beautiful time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was an amazing time, and it's an experience that
Hmm.
like has lived with me to this day. And there's so many stories we could tell about it. But I just wanted to say all of that just to say, look,
Yeah.
what you did, like all of you, not
Thank
just
you.
you, like Public Enemy, Chill Rob G, Steady B, LL Cool J, Run DMC, like literally everybody, Cool G Rap, Ultramagnetic MCs, my favorite group of all time. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big fan of hip hop as a general thing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just want
Yeah.
to say thank you for what you've done because, all these people that are making a living off of what they're
You're
making a
welcome,
living
man.
off now came from there.
Yeah. You're welcome, man. And thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for all of the people that has also allowed us to witness what they've been doing and growing, because there's a lot. When we first came to the UK, And at that point in time, I don't know. Germany is the UK. Germany is
No,
not the
no,
UK.
Germany's
UK.
no,
Germany is
no. We were in
Don't
Europe.
when
tell
we
that
We
were,
to
never went
English.
to the UK.
yeah.
Yeah,
But when we
don't tell the English Germany is UK.
Oh yes,
Nah,
yes.
nah. But when we came to Germany, though, like some of the groups that opened up for us, and some of the music that we got to hear and stuff. I mean, it was definitely a pleasure. And what makes it such a pleasure, man, is that in the early days, as we had the conversation about hip hop beginning in the five boroughs and not really having space for nothing else, that went on for a long time. But to go all the way to Germany, let's say, and to hear your commercials for your show running back to back on the radio in German, and just the to see the way that hip hop has grown. And look, we're almost 3,000 miles or 2,000 miles away from where this thing started in the South Bronx, and now it's all the way out here. It's always been a pleasure. It's like, not just listening to the music and hearing what people have to offer, but just seeing how folks treat the lifestyle, how they dress. And it's always been fascinating, man. And it's an honor to be a part of something so big. um, but I want to shout out always again to the people, because without people there can be nothing. So the people has put the form into this. The people has developed this. The people has loved it. The people has brought us. The people has come out to see us. All of us. So I mean, there's a big shouts out to the people, man, and how big hip
You
hop has
know,
come.
there's an interesting point from just acting off of what you just said. There's a really interesting point, right, that I want to make. I feel it's
Hmm.
interesting. And the interesting point is that when I was young, and if I walked in an office for a meeting or an appointment or whatever, like everybody would be dressed up in suits or smart dress and whatever. And then
Hmm.
hip hop came along. Everything changed. So all of a sudden, you lot aren't just about the music, but you're also about like the fashion, what people are deciding to wear based off the back of seeing you guys as their heroes and so on and so forth. So now, like, unless you're going to a wedding, and I've been to weddings where people have worn jeans and t-shirt, yeah.
Right.
But I'm just
Right.
saying, all of a sudden, it's like wearing a suit isn't necessarily a priority for the average person anymore, right? If
No.
anything, sometimes when you look at people in suits, you just think, they're just showing off. But, it's enough to wear something nice, clean, but it's just jeans, t-shirts, some kind of puffer jacket, whatever. And do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
How do you
Yeah.
feel your contribution kind of helped that change happen where people, the average person now can walk into an office and apply for a job in a jean and t-shirt?
It's become so big. Hip hop's become so big over the course of the years that it's been out. It allows people to have expression. And I think that when people are out and for sometimes for what it is that somebody might not feel is appropriate, for someone else it looks great or it looks good. I feel like people can go out now, they can throw on a jacket or a blazer or whatever like that. They can throw on the jeans, and they can either throw on some some shoes, or they can throw on some sneakers, but it's always going to be, it can be that with a New York baseball hat, and then that kind of like puts the definition on it, and it's acceptable. I think that hip hop has played a role in society to where people have to accept it more because they realize it's not going anywhere. It's grown so much, and people has embraced it so much that it has become the lifestyle. The music, you can say, I got my different tastes with the music and stuff like that, but no matter how old you grow, even when you're 70 or so, you might still be like, you know what, I still need to have my baseball hat. That's hip hop. It's the things that you know and the things that you love, and it's not just necessarily what you hear at times, because you can have your choice with that. But this hip hop, in regards to fashion, has become something that people has adapted this, and they live with it. I know people now that don't go into a suit store at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they go to a party, if someone may have on a suit or something like that, generally the person now at the party, when it's a nice affair or something, the person that has on the tuxedo or the suit, they're the ones standing out, because
Yeah.
everybody else is like, you know what, I could take a pair of jeans, I could buy a nice pair of dress jeans that look real nice, can crease them. I could put on a nice pair of shoes. I could put on $100 shirt, silk or whatever, but I'm always going to put on that New York hat, and it's going to make me hip hop. And as soon as you see that, you recognize it. You know what you're dealing with. You know, you know, hey,
I feel like I'm hip hop no matter what I have on. It's just like I'm
right.
just hip hop. Like it doesn't make a difference. And you know, when you talked about the suit thing, and I'm gonna go really shortly because I actually have a program I do 6 to 8 every Sunday. But you know, people like Russell Simmons understanding their assignment
Hmm.
and showing up in those boardrooms with all those people with suits, with jeans and a t-shirt or you know
Right,
sweater vest or something and a hat, like showing up like, yo, you want to do business with me? I ain't got to do that. This is how, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I think that because he did that in a corporate setting, but he had that money and they had to accept it. That helped the all the way
Hmm.
around for what you're saying. And he wasn't the only one, but he was one of the main ones that you really didn't see in a boardroom with a suit on. He was always, you
Yeah.
know, hip hop attire.
But when you look at hip hop, right, and you look at what made hip hop come along, and you look at the images, somebody made a great song back then, and then they had an image. Like if you take Slick Rick's songs were great songs. When you realize the visual of him, what helped you to realize the visual, the patch on the eye. You see Salt and Pepper, they had the African hats on. Um, you seen Public Enemy, they wore all black Wranglers and they, hoodies and, you seen different groups. And for every group that you seen come out, they put a song out, they put a dance out, and they had an image that you can understand. Every time I see this person, like every time I see a Big Daddy Kane, I'm expected to see him with the fedora or the brim on. Something smooth, something like that. But hip hop came a long way based on, again, the expression of what we seen in the past and what we were willing to bring forward. So for a lot of it, um, I don't think that hip hop personally, music wise, could have gone so far without the lifestyle. It was the great combination. You know what I mean? And like I say, all over the world. When I say all over the world, it grew. I seen clips of people in Japan that I'm like, they're not even talking frickin' English, but this is so evident that this damn thing is hip hop. And it again is I think as a culture, I'm more proud to have become a part of something that I could say we put a stone in something that it it changed the way the whole entire world feels. It's a really, really good feeling, even for you, Blade. Performing around and for all of the opportunities that you got from hip hop, looking out and seeing the people that come to embrace you. No face is the same, but everybody's united within the heart by this thing that we call hip hop, and we all made it. And it's the only genre that I know that allows you to really just be yourself.
So two things real quick. Um, Shady Beats, two comments. Music does not need a language. She's agreeing with you 100%. And
Yep.
she texted me to tell me that my friend, talking about you, has a great spirit. So she said you have a great spirit.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Well. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, no, I say that because what I'm saying. Once
Oh,
upon a
wait. One
time,
more shout out to Oxygen, another Strong
mhm,
Island representative. He lives in John Everett. He lives in Atlanta now, but he's a Strong Island representative holding it down for
big
Strong
out to
Island.
the
So,
A, big out to the A.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I just simply I say all of that to say, it's looking out, um, looking out at some of the opportunities that we have had, and to see how the people look that embrace us. You know what I mean? It's certainly come far. It's no surprise to me that hip hop has become the biggest music genre. And again, it comes with a lifestyle and everything else. So we love it, and hopefully, what I'm saying, we see another 50 years of it.
V Love can stay on if you want to. If you got any last questions for me, you got to ask right now because I gotta go because
No,
I
I
gotta get
think
ready for the other show.
I
I
think we
actually
Um,
good.
think I actually think we're done. We've said everything, and we'll just keep pushing the show. We've got 2 weeks.
Wednesday, September 24th, 229. Get your tickets. JVC Force will be in the house. Blade will be in the house. It's about to go down. You want to get your tickets, tell a friend to tell a friend. JVC Force is coming to town. If you're in the Netherlands or that, go catch us at the Urban Matters Festival on the 20th and the 21st. We will be rocking out there, be on a panel. We'll have mad merch out there as well. Come check us out. First time over in the UK and first time in Europe since like '89 or something. So, yo, it's about to go down. We riding this to the wheels fall off. And thank you, thank you, thank you to all the fans that have held us down throughout all the years and that still want to hear from us, yo. We are humbled, we are honored, and in closing, I say, may the force be with you. I'm out. Peace.
We need another
Yup,
album.
yup.
Everything's on the table, but we're gonna get these shows done. Come out and support us for these shows. Everything else is on the table. We're gonna see what happens after that.
All right, excellent. Thanks a lot, guys.
No
Yup.
doubt.
So B, any final words from you? AJ's
Wait,
going.
one question. Are you have any? Are you gonna do any clips of this and share it of the
What
interview?
I'll do is, because the only way I can save this is to share it as one whole thing, as long as it
Okay.
doesn't kick me out. Because sometimes Insta kicks it out. So
Okay. Yeah, if you
otherwise,
can send if you share it, and you can somehow send it to me as a whole video,
I'll see
maybe I
if I
can
can
make some clips or
download it and
something.
then I'll send it to you so you could do what
All
you
right.
want to do. So yeah, because
Peace,
I have
everybody.
about. All right, take care, bro. Peace.
All right. Peace.
B Love, any final words from you?
No, I just want to say, man, thank you to everyone. Most important, you know what I'm saying? Thank you to my beautiful wife and my kids, my son, my daughter, my sister, Camp JVC. Thank you for the beautiful people of the United States. Thank you for the beautiful people of overseas. Looking forward to coming through. And again, big shouts out to my cousins out there in London. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all also. But again, just coming, making sure that we come through with that genuine, authentic JVC love, man. May the force be with y'all. 100 salutes.
Excellent. All right, thanks a lot. So, guys, everybody who tuned in, all the people that came in and out of the room, thanks a lot for jumping in, being part of this. I'm looking forward to JVC Force. Look, I said to
Hmm.
the agent, I'm not interested in doing any shows. I'm retired. And then she was like,
Right.
yo, JVC, you got to do this. You got to do this. And I'm like, so I was like, you know what? I'll do it because it's JVC. Okay.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. You
Yeah.
know,
No,
we
and thanks a lot for asking me. I genuinely do not want to perform anymore. So, do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, because I've got so much other stuff going on. But when they asked for this one, I was like, you know what? I'll just do this one more time. Because
yeah,
I've got other things going on. I've got more important things going on. And performing
yeah,
as an artist is no longer part of that. I've got so much experience, knowledge, skills, whatever that I want to pass on to the youngest. And that's basically
right.
where my heart's at. I want to show people that what they're learning through YouTube and everything that they have shoved in their face isn't exactly correct. Like if you want to learn things correctly, talk to the people with experience who are ready to pass that experience on. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes, yes,
and
yes.
I'm one of those guys who's ready to pass that on. So anyway, thank you
Definitely.
for asking me to get on the bill as well. And I'm honored. I'm
Thank you for
humbled.
coming on, Blade.
No, and I appreciate you doing this live. So yeah, everybody, I'm going to share this live in a minute. But yeah, big up JVC Force for jumping in. AJ
Yeah.
Rock, AJ Rock and B Love, and yeah, we didn't even ask about Cazelle, but that's a whole different story.
Hey,
Another one.
hey, look. No, just please know, Blade. We're coming down to have fun on your sands.
Yeah,
We're looking forward. We're looking forward to you. We're looking forward to you. You know, showing us how your side of things operate, man. It's gonna be a pleasure to be there with you, man.
but all I can say is, I wish I was 3 stone lighter, and and my legs actually work. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's a different time. But yeah, just look,
Like I
thanks a lot
tell
for
every
joining us again, and everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. All right,
Yes, sir.
so we talk to you soon.
Like I tell everyone, Once we finish all of this, we put on a great show. We'll sit down together. We'll enjoy a lager.
All right. Excellent.
All
All right.
right,
Thanks.
brother.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. All right.
You too.
Take care. Peace.
Peace.